a long showdown. Buddy, let's get logged in, huh? Let's sort of get ourselves thrown in now. Again, thank you everyone for bearing with us as we start here. A best of 3 opening on bank demo.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Yep. It's a favored map by both teams. We know that both teams are more than happy to play here, and they're also extremely good at this map. I mean, Furia has one heck of a record on it as well. Was it 9 wins in a row, 10 wins in a row, something like that?
I think they're technically 10-1. I think it's 9 wins in a row, but total over the past half a year.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Obviously, for this game, don't forget everyone, they're playing for the SI points. This is what it's all about now. Both these teams are at the major. That job is done. But as we know, with both of these two teams, SI winners in the previous 2 years, they're going to want to be there again.
Well, let's get into this. We've got a double hard breach ban. Makes sense. Look at what they've removed. It's long distance and ranged hard breach. Things like Canto Wall is going to be a very sturdy position on the top floor hold. Then, in response, mirror windows and the coverage of the smoke. No extensions, pressure on towards both that top floor hold and also down in towards the basement site. Gives you a decent stretch and turns it into a little bit more of a close quarters get in to get the work done, and a Deimos isn't messing around. They're already trying to hunt people, and well, they're down in the basement trying to just sort of reassess where everybody is at this point. All the hard breach, 2 pockets in herds and nade, and then the fuse to try and get themselves over the top. The Glaz could be that power player, but what you're looking at is the denial of time. You've got obviously the Echo drone to cover the last 30 seconds, minute of the round if they're very good, alongside the Goya canisters and the smoke. Furia are going to have to get their clear done pretty fast, Demo.
Well, here they go. See how Furia want to gear up again for this kind of basement site that we usually see play out. Pretty slow at the start, and then it will start to ramp up as the util dump will proceed. In terms of bans for Furia, no Ace or the Habana, so there's still plenty of execution operators available for Furia that they can take, and you can see, you know, Capitao in there, Glaz as well, which is, again, always something you have to be careful of. And I mean, it's quite a wise swing as well from Furia, considering that they went for the Warden ban, so it makes a lot of sense. However, Emmy, this could be quite tricky, though. Faze have got 2 players cut off inside a server. With that hatch being opened up, they can't really get back in, so they're going to have to try and fight their way through server.
Ooh, well, Salt isn't. Gets caught out. Fleetbox is the cover, and out of the way. There you go. Okay, now, and they find their way down on towards blue stairs. As I said, they've got to be quite sharp with the control of the rest of the map, and they sure have been. And now they've limited the smoke as well, as seemingly all the Goyas have been destroyed from the top hatch. There's a lot of work on a single C4 and maybe 2 Echo drones to try and pick up the rest of this round. The breach comes out, another pop to just remove all that utility. Very, very well played and put together here from the fuse. The long-range cover and the soft sprays through, as KDS wanted to go for a little bit of a retake here, led by an Echo drone. It's a nice little 1-2, but they couldn't quite win it out, and KZ and JV92 are more than happy to watch the back end, as it's proven there, with Handy going down. This should be par for the course for the rest of his execute here for Furia. In getting the breach done, no. Baiting out the C4, yes. And playing with that, now they have nothing really to stop this plant. Can get themselves in with the shield on their back, as they probably will with nade, and just get this cemented. There's a send though. JV92 just wins it out.
Oh, never mind. I thought he won it.
I thought he won as well.
I thought the Echo won it. Never mind. False alarm. False alarm.
I was about to be...
Oh.
I was about to lose my mind, Demo.
I mean, that would have been one heck of a way to start the round, but...
I know.
Still, they win it, which is the main thing. I mean, look, that's pretty standard, isn't it? I mean, yeah, that was done perfection, but that's standard for Furia. I don't think people realize that the quality of both of these teams, where things that look really difficult for a lot of teams that we would see around the world, it's just second nature to these guys. It's like breathing, isn't it, the way they play Siege?
Oh, entirely. I mean, they are both one step ahead of everybody else ahead of them. It's like that scene from... It's either the Flash movie, I think it's that one, where he's running in super speed. and then Superman turns his head to look at him. That's these two teams versus everybody else.
Justice League.
Justice League. Thank you, comic book movie aficionado.
Just say nerd and get over with.
No, you know your stuff, and I'm a nerd. Buddy, I fight in armor. If I'm not happy with the nerd tagline, what am I happy with?
Yeah, you're like elite of the. You're like nerd president.
To be honest, there is something so fun about putting on a load of armor and then just smacking each other. No, people might know it as
stress relief. No.
Oh, it's amazing. People know it as Hemo. I do the step above that where it's not just like you hit and then that's a point. It's you hit and then you keep hitting and then eventually one of the two of you gives up in full sets of armor with swords. Anyway, enough about me and you being a nerd. As you were saying, they live and breathe it. They manipulate the game.
So, I mentioned before with the bans that the Furia have had to deal with, a ban and Ace being banned away. It means that this top floor should be pretty defendable here for Faze. You don't have to worry about Canto wall being opened up. The janitor wall also, it will remain shut. But Furia, very smartly done. You pick what's open to you. And the Monty for this top floor, I've talked about this in depth. I got a book on how good this guy is on this top floor. You can just walk up Spiral, clear that entire elevator corridor, into the front office, into sight. Makes it so easy. So I like the way that Furia think, okay, we're gonna ban them, we'll take what's up. And again, you have the shields available, so why not abuse that?
They'll see if they can try and get some of the start of the control here. As you said, you could write a book. I guess it depends if they've read it, because sometimes it'll hit a bit differently if you know you're up against a specific opponent. The Clash, Soul's position. Kanto is going to be a solid lock-in, and so is Cyber. KZ gets the opener here, and now the pressure starts to circle and starts to surmount. KZ, 2 on the window. That is... Okay, I was confused what was kind of happening there, and then it made sense as we cleared it. This is a bit of a brutal round demo.
Yep, 2 flawless in a row. Standard. Simple stuff. Yeah, Monty just takes the way up in through Spiral. What is always the big issue with that top floor? It's the windows. Just Faze obviously in a position where they're getting exposed. So for Faze, the alarm bell should be ringing. You know, what are we doing? Really, there wasn't a lot happening, I think, for Furia. They were just kind of running, you know, just a standard playbook, trying to get the Monty up. There should have been a little mini game in the midst of that as well. I mean, don't forget, there's a Clash holding on the Spiral, correct thing that Faze have done. But we didn't even see that Clash get into the fight. Furia didn't even need to remove the Clash because everyone else had died around them. You know, so for Faze, it's obviously a case of they're probably over-peeking onto windows. They're probably a little bit desperate trying to get some kills back. And they're just snowballing into Furia. With their deaths. And Furia, we know what they're like. I've said this so many times. This team is one of the best teams in the world, one of the best teams this game has ever seen. They will punish for the slightest mistake. You will lose a round because of that. We've always said it. Against these top teams, Emmy, you have to play perfectly.
Can't get more perfect than 2 flawlesses in a row to open a game. And I mean, as you sort of said, Faze needs to do something to stop it. They've kept themselves rotating, keep the game alive, gone on to open and stuff. But seeing if they can try and slow down the roll. Also, I'll just quickly point out before it changes, Furia have a really nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 kill spread. I like patterns, you know? And we'll see if they can keep that. KZ. 4 over 2 rounds, and now on towards the Nook to see if they can try and cause a backstabby problem. Pull themselves away, but seemingly the idea of the soft being the opener means that any route that they take is going to be one that's a little bit noisy, if not covered by anybody else, but they say, screw the cover, I'm going to go in anyway. KDS in the meantime, the role of the Scopos, could get themselves a swap round. They're trying to bait out the chance at the fight of the Monty here. As soon as they hit those Banshees, the cries start to come out. They need some pressure to be on the back. They can't just force this from a single angle with a single shield. So instead, they cut the cross They're going to the bottom of the staircase and trying to force them out. Cyber's holding onto the position. Gets caught by the Nook. There's the sneak round. There's one. There's the pre-fire, but the player's behind him. Oh, he misread the bullets. And there's Handy. Handily picking up a couple. They have at least one trapped player here that's pre-firing for one. There's the Monty trying to get the cover on the other side. He's dropped the shield a second too late and re-shielded. Felipox almost let them into the waiting gun and nade. But 2 versus 2. This is the best possibility that they've had. However, think about sort of what's been taken out and what's been lost at this point. There's a C4 that could be massively defining here, and they only have a single smoke to otherwise drive it. So they have to see if they can try and bait out maybe one more kill, maybe one more position, or they can try and go for the execute itself, Demo.
I think really for Fury, have to make a decision. Do they want to try and push in towards the office or try and go around and go for a plant in through kitchen? Well,
that changes
they've
things.
made the wrong decision. Handy's been able to kill the Monty. Must have just walked by the quad wall and he just shot him in the head, plain and simple. And yeah, Nade now in such a difficult predicament now because we know that Faze, they can play this crossfire oh so well. As long as they can trade each other, should be no problem. See Handy also just thinking that he maybe could come from that same angle that the Monty was at, and that's exactly where Nade is going to go. But Handy has to slip his way back ever so slightly, and really for Nade, he just know the guns are going to be aimed at you. 10 seconds to go. They've got a BP as well, it looks like. They've got constant information. Guess the one, but Handy is there with the ace. I mean, not only just the ace, but holding his cool to get that clutch. Very, very important for FaZe. That's what you needed.
2 flawlesses into an ace response round. Well, this sure is a pace of game that I don't think we really expected. There was, obviously a decent chance there. It felt back and forth. Furia were positioned in a way to keep trying to strike at the opportunities. The Nook misreading where the spray came from, thinking they could get the swing onto the player on sort of the beeper's door. Yeah, that led them into a bit of a trap, and maybe that was the change around, but fair enough. FaZe getting themselves the time out there because, well, an ace is a great stopper for pace, but it's not a round you can bank on.
Yeah.
They've already.
I mean, it certainly is one of those rounds that you look at and think,
very important.
Yes, we won the round, but really the whole fundamental of our defense kind of got picked apart because of that Nook coming in for the crouch walk.
Yeah.
And it's strange as well. They obviously started the Scopus down in towards the basement because the whole reason why you play something in the basement is to stop that Nook doing what that Nook does. Coming in through the main stairs, you then have that line of sight onto players who could be playing aggro inside of elevator, into tellers and archives. Obviously, you have the cutoff if they try and retreat back into the bomb site. And you play the Scopus down there to stop that kind of that deterrent. But the thing is, the Scopus obviously left, which is, good to play the Scopus. We've seen plenty of times a defender can get trapped down there and can't really escape that basement because the staircases are going to be cut off by said person inside a garage. But it felt as though that Scopus TP'd. And did they not tell anyone that, hey, I've left basement, there could be a crouch walker coming up the main stairs? That's what kind of surprised me with all that.
It almost felt maybe like FaZe got a little bit locked in, a bit blinkered on towards the approach of Furia. I think they were trying to sort of go with how pacey and how direct rounds 1 and round 2 were. Because if you think about it, round 1 was obviously they sort of got the map clear fine, but then they watched the hatches and fully sent servers. They did do a bit of a drop towards the final throws, but it wasn't like an early flank. It wasn't an early sort of surprise strike. Everything was very forward on the cards. Same with round 2. Up spiral, windows pressure, bish bash bosh, we killed everybody. This was the first time it felt that they tried to have a loose back piece towards it. It's obviously the first time they ran with a Nook. And, maybe they just trusted that Furia were going to do the same sort of approach and not have this extra element. Obviously didn't come to pass. Either way, they've had their time out and they can get themselves looking towards another basement hold. They didn't really test the map last time. They didn't try to keep the fight alive. They had 2 players get stuck in server at one point and they lost the smoke on the retreat round. So instead of the smoke, we get to Chanker. We get a bit of a different approach as well as the Echo not being on the board, but with the smoke ban, with the limitations of a Ying, I wonder if the Ying ban is a little too little too late. Obviously wasn't even really played by Furia on their approach. But without the Warden, maybe it's just safer to get rid of her.
But there's still plenty of different operators that, you know, Furia can go for whenever it comes to the kind of util dump. Cause Faze have hard locked themselves into that double hard breacher ban. Oh, Handy is taken down by KZ. I mean, I'm surprised Handy challenged onto that. Typically for that kind of hold, where it's kind of soft pressure in towards open area, in towards elevator, the defenders will leave. You know, they'll drop down the hatches. They don't really want the contest. So I'm quite surprised that Handy has went for that fight. And well, he's paid the price for it. So, a 4v5, again, perfect pacing again from Furia. They've got themselves into open area. Hatches have already been open for them, some of them. They've had the Maverick off that main one because it was electrified with the Cade. It's just really take server, and then Furia are going to set themselves up for that same take as what they went for last time. So yeah, again, for Furia, I see no issues with what they have right now. Everything's going to plan.
Are breaching the wall to get to plan.
Well, they didn't really try and go for the plant until the very end of it last time. They'll try and get rid of the utility a bit earlier, but you have the Shumiker launcher. That's the sort of difference and distance maker. There has to be more of an earlier bit of pressure. And I think maybe that's what they've read into here. JV92, last time he did this, he was able to actually win the engagement from the drop. He's going to hope that somebody can draw some attention elsewhere first, but as Souls takes a lot of damage from somewhere he didn't even really seem sure of. There's going to be a bit of the play of the smoke. They drive themselves through. Nade has found himself in a pocket of space, and he's going to try and get the plant. Viking does get one. Souls gets the cover, but the plant is being secured as Felipox with the Glaz has that long range and extra bit of distance. Herds has one more. And then suddenly a 3 versus 2. But there is a Roma, a defender that's got themselves above. KDS gets the cover of the verticality. Now a 2 versus 2, and they have the vertical terrain. So instead, going to get themselves on towards the hatch. Viking has to time this well. If he takes this fight too early, it's going to go against him. KDS is about to get in an engagement against the shield. He's trying to cut the distance, and, well, as Felipox gets one, it's now a 1 versus 1. The Glaz waiting around on the side. He'll expect the swing in the position, but he's got to bait it perfectly, Felipox. That shows how much that rifle can do.
Another round at Furia. Just take their time. Prioritize getting that plant. Look, a little bit closer for round, of course. Faze attempting that retake, but we just know that basement on that retake, it is so difficult. Because even if you're able to clear above, which already open area, you know, you have to check 1,000,001 angles before you can get over towards the hatch. If you are able to win that fight in open area, then you have to try and get into server. And again, how many angles do you have to check too? You know, so it's just so much you have to work through for that retake. But again, good decision making from Furia. You send the fuse deep, means that the Tachanka is going to be nullified. And also whenever the Tachanka, you know, was obviously using his flames, you also then had players from Furia pushing in, you know, deep in towards site, you doing util dump, putting that Tachanka under pressure so he wasn't going to be in a position where he could change his angles. He was only set up to deny the default plant, not for behind the bomb chassis, because Furia added that extra little bit of spice into their attack. So, yeah, Furia can't complain. They win the rounds. 3-1 up.
5 seconds left before insertion.
At this point, with the timeout going away from them, but with in some way the closest fight that they've had outside of a player getting an ace, they might be able to build some ground behind it. The entry statistic is still something that is entirely got out of their grasp. All 4 rounds going in towards the side of Furia. And since then, I mean, almost an 100% statistic to back it up. It shows the importance of that trade game on bank, but also between these two teams, right? As soon as you start to get a little bit more ground against the other and can set up 2 versus 1s, at that point it just becomes the dominoes game of, well, we knocked the first one, so we'll get to get all the others down first. Felipox and KZ, obviously 12 and 3 between the pair of them. Getting so much work out of that Glaz, and, you know, it just shows the power of the Warden ban more than anything. Yeah, they limited the play on towards the Ying against that chance because it's an execute op, but as you said, Furia are so good with so many different execute ops. They're so happy to bring on towards the Grim or on towards the Rower in this case, and as the smokes come out, maybe you're thinking the Glaz could have been a better removal. As they watch once again, you're just sort of hoping they don't give them an engagement, but they got to do something because the plant is going down. There's some damage being put across. There's a C4, and it's perfectly played and placed. and they're able to at least pick up the trade kill, but now they've lost the shield. And there's still at least one more C4 that's potentially on the board itself. There's another smoke going through, but they now have to try and run the gauntlet, get in, get the kit, and oh, are they going to go for the stick? They are. And it's just locked out, swung around. They're trying to make it work here like fetch, but it's just not going to catch on, Demo.
Yeah, you go for your util dump, and if it doesn't work, trying to replant is so difficult. Because they kind of jigs up. They know what you're going for. It's just a very simple smoke out the bomb site and hope the glass is going to pick them off, but they're all out of smokes. Still a 3v3 though. I mean, there's still potential here for Furia just to try and win it on gunfights alone, but they need to eliminate this player inside of Janitor Cyber. Try and hold on to your life. Hold on to this very pivotal room. He's going to be Flores out. And BP is now going to be removed, so he's going to be blind from his teammates, and Cyber, the EMP in hand, doesn't know if he wants to go for the swing or not. And there we go, the down JV exposed himself. This should be the lockout here for Faze. I don't see Furia pull this one back. As long as Faze can just play their trades, they should be fine.
That's it. They've got this backline, they've got this position, and, well, they've now got the glass down as well. There's one more in a swing around, and said the last time was the closest. This is the calmest. Furia tried to do something a bit short and snappy, but instead, it's given Faze their second defense and also a bit of control, which they were kind of lacking, even with the previous round that they won before, which was on the back of an ace. That felt like the most that they were ready for what Furia wanted to bring towards the boards. And that gets them at least 2 on their defense, but they probably want that third if they want to have the chance of getting this one all the way towards OT. If not a win.
Yeah, I mean, look, you think about that round, the way it played out for Furia, it was, like, I mean, I would say ranked level strat, was it not? Like, fairly straightforward, just smoke the bomb site and then just hope you can plant. Like, that's as simple as what... Anyone can do that. You guys at home, by all means, have a go. It might work, we don't know. Obviously for Faze, alt take is 1C4 to completely upset that take. That is kind of the deterrent. Yes, it's very simple, very straightforward. But it's also very simple, very straightforward for the defenders to also stop that attack. And then, yeah, like I said, the bomb is in the bomb site. To get to that, you have to swing in through the windows. It's going to be so tricky for them, and yeah, just did not pay off in the long run. So Faze, at least the top floor, has been won by them. And now they get to go to the other bomb site, which they were successful in. Towards open area now.
So, last time these two teams met, it was 3-3 halves, and then it got all the way to OT, where Furia put it to bed. The thing is, though, when it got on towards Faze having to attack, they actually lost the first 3 in a row before pulling it back. It was with their timeout already used. Not sure how late in the game it came last time, but you know that there is this wresting of control that is likely to become a bit of a back and forth. The Skopos is on more of a fight back this time. Maybe they realized with the problem with the Nook that it's going to be a bit of a cost here, but do they know about this? No. Handy. The man who pulled off huge bits last time round, this time is able to get an easy pickup on a first body and blow. Waited, baited, and pulls himself back in towards Archive, where they have support. Furia prodded and poked, not far enough. There's almost a scrappy engagement back. The blind will come out, but there's nobody to immediately follow the pressure through. You can see the Grim is trying to enter on towards above them, and they can just do this, pull back. The pressure isn't quite coming wide enough here. Philippox does find one. There's a trade out, and there's KDS being able to pick up revenge, but Philippox doesn't care. Drives on through with that sniper rifle, and just an unbelievable half for a Glaz. As they get themselves more and more pressure, a minute 20, 3 versus 2. And at this point, they're going to see if they can try and cement the plant itself. They're looking for, oh, now a fight. They pull off. KZ gets the lock in. It's KDS locked out next. And with another one, Philippox. Maybe the best half a Glaz main and a Glaz has ever had, because they played Glaz every single round apart from one Monty round.
Oh, yeah, no warning. Just abuse it. You've gotten rid of the one counter to that operator, but you still have to hit the shots. I think that's the main thing. He's hitting the shots. He's doing well in the Glaz. He's on a heater, you know? And one thing I've learned, you never walk away if you're on a heater. And certainly if you play in the glass well, keep it going. Can't do it now though. He's on the defense, and we don't have a glass on defense. Well, we kind of do. We've Warden who can see through the smoke, but
I was gonna. You need to combine like Warden and Tub.
Give Warden a DMR. Sorted. Actually, let's
Warden
not
a
do
DMR.
that. No,
Hey,
let's not
Hey,
do that.
balancing team. I have the worst suggestion. Give Warden a DMR.
Make it the good one as well. Make it the M4.
Wow. That could
M14,
be
sorry,
maybe
M4.
the worst change they could ever possibly make.
I'll just give him the 417. Everyone has one anyway.
Give everybody the ACOG again. Bring it back.
I mean, some operators definitely should have kept their ACOGs. Castle being my #1 suspect.
Oh, yeah. Because the gun is...
I used to love playing Castle. I love my Castle strategies. Speak to my teammates in ranked. They hate the Castle strategies, especially the one in Villa. But I'm telling you, it made it possible because I could hold these really long angles with the ACOG.
Yeah. 12 and 2 for lead boxes as well. After the sort of way. That's got a 4K in that round. Got at least a 3K in one other round. And the rest was just standard sort of build up across that, right? You've still got himself averaging a huge amount across the other rounds. We'll see if there can be a turn of face. Different style of bans. You and I often talk about it, about your sort of attacker front foot bans, and there, a Ying and a Grim demo.
Yeah, again, it's kind of pick your poison. Do you want to weaken that basement, or would you rather weaken the top floor? Now, obviously, in the case of Faze, you could see how easy it was for Furia to win that bottom floor because they had these kind of operators still available. I mean, they brought the Grim obviously in for, I think, their last attack on the basement, and again, it worked wonders. It pressured a lot of those players as they were trying to stop that plant going down. Again, I think in terms of the top floor, yes, top floor should be pretty, cut and dry here for Faze. Whenever they get to it, you have the Habana, you have the Ace, you can open up the long angles, which helps it a lot, but it's just this basement. And really, if Furia can consistently win the basement and then win the open areas just once, they win the game. Simple as that.
Pushing archives with the blitz.
Now, as the shield tries to just shepherd the way through, right, the core of the undergrowth of the site itself, and, well, there's the coverage. There's the first. Goes into the side of Herds. The C4 almost gets a bite out of Vidaking, but now he's in a 1 versus 1. There's support coming round, but it's a blitz. And at that range, easy enough to pick it back up. There goes the coverage, and there goes the response, and there goes a lot of time wasted. And time was a precious resource when we came down to the executes on the other side round. Faze almost clutched it out from before from an echo drone, and a few steps the distance was made, and now they're going to see if they can try and scream their way down in towards the server itself. Make up the lost moments, and oh, no reveal, no catch, and no kit for now. Pull themselves back up, remove the utility, and go back to the hunting game. I'm not sure where they think the Furia players are, but for now they're just going to try and set themselves up. You've still got that echo. You've still got the chance at playing against, obviously, well, no C4s, but the fire that can come in from the Shumika launcher, so they're going to have to be a bit mobile on their plant here, and they've got the chance of putting the shield on the back. But the fact that Vidaking has put that kid over makes me think they're going to try and use him as a battering ram elsewhere on the drive itself. The echo and the Keebers just taking time out. The fact that KZ has retaken a position in servers to make this play bad, and they know where the kid is, so instead they're just going to have to try and drive it. As I said, there's the catch. There's a player behind him, I think. I don't know, he really knows, but there's a spray round. Souls gets that engagement, goes for the cover, and it's traded back and forth, but 8 seconds, and KZ on the server position might have just dictated the round. A Blitz doing his best, but against these odds, well, jury's out.
5-1.
Oh, I actually thought that was a genius play from Souls.
Fury is looking extra good on this map. And
Yeah, again, the guy in server as Nazami, right? Not an uncommon position. Yes, Nazami's really, really good in that position. And obviously with the Keebas, everything, just block of door, waste time. Sensing off the player, getting the diffuser, and then trying to run deep, I thought was a stroke of genius. It just didn't pay off. You know, very, again, wise from the Azami to react to that. But other than that, a really good attempt there from Faze, at least salvage that. But look, the main issues there, it's your timing for Faze. It really is the timing for you. Look at the way that Furia moved through that. I wouldn't say Furia were ever really pressured on any of their attacks in towards the basement. They were able to get, you know, the diffuser down. Well, they would have got it down twice. They just killed everyone really fast in the first round. But other than that, Furia were really good at getting that diffuser prioritized, getting it done in good time. Faze, a little bit more reckless almost with the kind of way that they wanted to approach that. No, I kind of look at Faze and I think, is it a case where their heads just aren't in this? Because obviously, as you go for that side switch, you need to start off on the right foot.
Yeah.
And they've lost that attack. They're 5-2 down. This is not a promising scoreline. And it's almost the case for Faze where they're low energy. You know, do they just want to go next? Because honestly, I just don't see Furia losing this fight with the way that they're playing. I think that the speed and how they're reacting to Faze is second to none. And that goes for both their attacks and their defenses.
Yeah, it's the sort of weird balance. I mean, I said Faze could get it in 3. And I think on the sort of second map, they have the preference based on, yeah, we don't have a lot of data of the two teams. But if Furia are playing with this energy, that sort of turns that prediction on its head. You hope that Faze are, in a way, just looking at, we could do this in 3 maps rather than 2. And this first one is theirs because it's Bank and they're so good at it. But you need that to be almost answered when we get into map 2 and when we get into a play space. You want it to have a bit of a fight, but if this is their warm-up, and fine. But don't make the crowds get false hope, right? Don't let me be the one to be like, they're better than this. Don't worry about it. They'll be back. They'll be in. They bounce the grenade round. Doesn't quite catch the claw. So that will be Vidaking actually having to move off Faze. Not quite getting the start they wanted on the breach. They went for the grenade trick rather than the pocket EMPs, and that has gone the way it has. So instead, quick change of pace, but quick has to be the underlined and emboldened word here. They only have 1:20 left, and they're starting to now put the pressure on towards stock and top square.
Well, no casualties have been sustained by either side, which is probably a good thing here for Furia. I mean, really, what have Faze been able to take? They're still more or less outside. All they've really gotten is square, which is a given anyway. How good is their util dump, though, into this position that KZ's in right now? He is on the Wamai, of course, can try and fortify his position with those discs. Waiting for the nades to come in. There we go, there's one, but very poorly played, and KZ gets the down, jumps up, finishes off the down player. Excellent play from KZ, and honestly, he just pull out here. He has the clash in front, use that as his kind of mirror window almost, but no, Cyber denies that opportunity, but still, it's his clash, Emmy. How do they get through this?
Well, they need to have a bit more of a direct drive here. No pocket EMPs, but they might have a chance at an air jab if they've placed one somewhere they can bait the clash too, but the bait is the main word. Nothing else in pocket, and no chance at the drive on it. So instead, they're going to send a Flores drone, which seems like the MO, force the player back, but look how problematic the clash is being. Oh. There's the cover, there's the cross. There's at least a great trade back from Vidaking, but JV92 is there to add punctuation, as is either side. 4 seconds, 2 players including a clash, and at this point they can just close the door and the round. Vidaking's in, and Vidaking is out. Furia. They sit on map point, and at a current 6-2 energy, can't imagine this lasting much longer.
Yeah, again, Furia just on it, reacting really, really well. Like I mentioned, that was such a bland attack by Faze. Like, that is just plain chicken, as far as I'm concerned, with what they've just went for. All they had was square. I do. I mean, I'm a... Look,
you love playing chicken.
Steady on. Steady on. All they went from was just square. That was it. That's all they had. Very little window presence. No pressure towards lobby, for example. Nothing. And really, if you look at the lineup there for Furia, there wasn't like a kind of traditional plant denier. You know, like Smoke, Tachanka, things like that. But I think this is where sometimes she gets overlooked, is that clash. People forget that, yes, she is this kind of, you know, walks around, gets the information, all that kind of stuff. She's also a really good stopper of time. She just slows the round down so much, because a lot of attackers, if you see the clash, everyone I'm sure agrees with this, it's almost like your own little side quest that you have to go and try and get. It's okay, we have to go and kill this clash. that takes up time and resources to do so.
Objective is to defuse a bomb.
You can't ignore. That's one thing about Clash. Never try and ignore the Clash unless you are bringing your own shields and you're hitting like another backstab on the other bomb site where Clash just doesn't have enough time to kind of, you know, recalibrate and rotate over there.
Oh my god, Soul.
You have to play with pace if you're against the Clash, because you cannot let her eat up any time. You need to get everything. Okay, Clash. Okay, burn, nades, nomads, whatever it is, kill her. They didn't do that. They were terrified to push that Clash, and you could see how it came in the later stages of that round to bite them in the backside.
Sam Cam's getting that full spread of intel. Ready for any of the approach, but with Souls taking the first scrape of damage, you're wondering at which point this might just start to fall away from them. King on the Monty, on the sort of drive here of Faze's approach. One chance at a lockdown as KZ's locking down on the side of stock and above the site itself. They get your drone. With the Denari network, they have some denial on the immediate hop in and the drive behind. Just make things problematic. Slow Faze down even more and give them more problems, which maybe that leads towards these bland approaches. They just don't have the answers to the questions being fully posed here on a bank where they are very uncomfortable. The C4 rolls its way out, as does KZS. JV92 gets one. Souls does get one back. They're almost getting the second nade. Wins it out whilst the Monty's on the back, but JV92 for 3. I mean, production start loading up those changes of the cards and prepare for map 2. Because Faze rightfully and truthfully dismantled on bank by Furia.
Did you see that swing from JV? It was like the flap. How quickly he just came around that corner. I mean, yeah, Furia, no problem. 7-2. I kind of seen after that first attack from Faze, the heads weren't in it. You know, the hearts weren't in it. Just, yeah, Furia, say, oh, we'll take it. 7-2. Next map. Here we go.
Well, 7-2. Next map. Here we go. Do a quick break. Woo!
One thing I love about you is you always, whenever I do a little thing, you always just you somehow twist it. I don't know how you do it. It's like,
you know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey.
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
Keep an eye out for contacts.
Available now.
The nicotine in vapes can increase anxiety and cause trouble sleeping. Get the facts at thefactsnow.com.
The thing about long-term relationships is Sometimes you need to spice things up. Look at that. Crispy chicken from Taco Bell, a brand new classic. You're welcome.
What a hotel.
Right? And only $250 a night for my favorite site. What?
You didn't check Trivago.
I got mine for $155. You have to check Trivago.
Oh yeah? Prove it.
On Trivago, you can compare hotel prices from multiple different sites.
Even your favorite one.
Look, same hotel, $100 less.
You didn't check Trivago?
I didn't check Trivago.
Check Trivago to compare prices and save up to 40%. Hotel? Trivago.
After 40, we need skincare that works as hard as we do. Am I right?
New Triple Power Serum by L'Oreal. 3 serums in 1 with peptides, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C. Visibly reduces wrinkles, firms, and evens tone. Visibly reverse key aging signs. See age-defying clinical results.
3 in 1. Don't settle for less.
New Triple Power Serum by L'Oreal Paris.
We're worth it.
Math, history, social studies. It's all been leading up to this moment. Life is short, but lunch is shorter. That's the Lunchables effect.
The NBA on ESPN is happening now. We don't know who's gonna catch fire or who will shock the world, but we do know that for opening week, Christmas, finals, and everywhere in between, there's one place to call home. Stop playing with me.
Sports are awesome. But is Sport Clips better than sports? Because Sport Clips is sports. Plus, a neck and shoulder treatment. Sport Clips. It's a game changer.
At McCoy Federal, we're more than just a place to bank. We're here for people, our members. For some, it's buying their first home. For others, it's finally opening that small business. And for many, it's simply knowing that their money is safe and working for them. With great rates, no hidden fees, and a team that knows you by name, McCoy is where banking feels personal again. For over 70 years, we've been here for Central Florida, helping people, families, and businesses grow. McCoy Federal, we're more than just banking.
Shadow, where I shine bright. I'm in the shadow.
5 kills, and Handy's usually the one, kind of supporting the other players, let alone coming through and being, top of the pops like that. So yeah, big problems for Faze.
I mean, just really quick. I mean, when you look at the discrepancy in the KDs, the costs, look at Nade, 2 and 5. But 78% cost. I mean, we were just talking about this at the end of the game. I mean, even if Nade's not popping, even if one player isn't popping off on this game, clearly they're still contributing where they need to be contributing, whether that's droning, whether that's feeding information, whether that's communicating, relying on that. I mean, to still have a 78% cost going 2 and 5, that's pretty impressive, and still putting up the effort to help his team have success.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see here. I mean, for example, like when you're mentioning Handy, it's great to see that from him. But for Cyber, we're kind of expecting more on that one. And what you said, Ace, about the win streak from Furia so far. I mean, it's not difficult to put up such a big streak if Bank and Lair are practically the only maps that you've played so far during the group stage. So it was very well-known territory for them on this map. But when we move that conversation to the next map, that's the complete opposite. When we start talking about Skyscraper, you two brought that up during the map veto. There's not a lot of information on both these maps, really. Faze have played it, Furia haven't really. For Faze not to necessarily be in the game, and something you've also mentioned, like so you're watching the game, is that Faze just seem to be lacking this kind of information. What can they do on that second map to tie the series back up in 1-1?
I think one of the biggest things for me, obviously, one, just being a former player, is just keeping that mental composure. Obviously, Faze can do it. I'm not going to count them out. I was expecting the game to be even closer on Bank than what it was. But fact of the matter is, you're in a best of 3. You just hit the reset. You work on what the problems were. You have to be better here on attack. And where that's going to start, that's going to start with any single individual player here being able to lead that charge, being able to have a very good round and gaining that momentum that everyone can build off of that. And not
not just being one player as well. Like, I also believe Cyber is really going to need to find his stride here. I mean, being the worst performer from that last game certainly isn't helping them on their attacks. So if he can have a good round, or any one of these players having a very good, convincing round that, again, can just instill that momentum for everyone to get behind and keep them in the fight, to keep them going, that's really where it's going to start. But that only there, if I have to say it, Ann, they also need a banana in their lives. I got one in my hand right here. I think they definitely need a little bit of potassium, you know, lubricate those muscles, get them going, get all the joints all situated here to be able to find that stride. And honestly, potassium helps with nerves here. So, you know, if we're going to talk about mental fortitude and anything like that, a little banana goes a long way during these breaks.
Max knows that the comeback begins at the stomach. He knows where it's at.
I'm glad we're being taught about all like things biology related as well. Besides Siege as well, what we're having here, there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Faze though. As we talked about the stakes on this game, you can triple up your SI points. I think it's time for you, Lexington, to go and enjoy that banana further so we can go have a look at what the game is looking like, because can Faze tie this back? Can they make it to the final? We'll have to go and see. The series is continuing on Skyscraper.
Do you have a banana? Have you ever eaten a vegetable or a fruit?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I like how we got a little glimpse, because obviously we're all in a little call together before the analyst muted. As I asked you if you'd ever had a vegetable or a fruit, Tim burst out laughing. And he was moved into the other space, which I think sort of shows how worried about you we are. And how worried we might be.
I'm healthy. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good.
Yeah. Top percentile, you like an Olympian. We are going to see if they can survive the marathon themselves, Faze, because at this point they've got to get themselves to all 3 maps if they want a chance at continuing this roll. Otherwise, if Furia keep up the pace that they had, it could be a very quick 2-0.
And Ace obviously kind of pretty much convinced that it's going to be a 2-0. I think with just how things played out for Faze, just the heart isn't there. You know, the energy is very, very low. Furia, I think, hit the ground running, which was the main thing in a series of such magnitudes, is making sure you're going in there and starting things off so strong. They done that. You know, 2 back-to-back flawless rounds. I mean, that's some going. Also, just by the way, I've actually got sore knees at the moment, so maybe I'm not fully fit as what I made it out to be. I will say that much.
Listen, I'm glad you told us. Yeah. I like how it was such a worry where you're like, I've got to bring this up. I can't let the people think I'm 100 out of 100, 10
I do
out of
have
10.
bad knees. Yeah.
I got to bring it up. Anyway, we find ourselves looking at this bracket and these pro players once again. I was looking towards my notes and changing my notes tab. I heard us loaded to the game demo. Was I lied to?
We did, and then we came back out again. What a classic.
It's like an old motor. So sometimes you gotta give it a couple of goes around to get it to kick into gear, right?
Look at Herds. What's he thinking about? He is very deep in thought.
Thinking about bananas. It's actually weird the sort of history bananas have had in Rainbow Six Siege. Let's take a moment to talk about it.
Pojo Man?
Pojo Man, yeah, probably.
Handed it off to Bolo.
Obviously Bolo.
Yeah.
The Mayor McCheese himself.
Yeah. We seen Freck last week on EML.
Freck last week.
Yeah, or this week. Take your pick.
I can't remember how many days are in a week.
It was Tuesday, wasn't it? Was it Tuesday?
Wait, they're sponsored by Hellman's?
Yeah, you know that.
I don't think I've ever. No, I've seen
whenever I seen the sponsor, I was like, they get a lifetime supply of mayo.
Like, free mayo is quite a good thing. I mean, the source game for Hellman's is top tier. That's like the sort of thing that Tim would vie for as a sponsor. If you could have any
condiments.
If you could have one sponsor from all of any team sponsor that exists in Tier 1 Rainbow Six, I think Tim would jump at Hellman's first.
surprised there isn't more food, like, product sponsors as well.
Well, obviously you've got Red Bull there. Other sponsors are available.
That's a drink. Like,
I don't know if there are other major mayonnaises available. I think that just might be one, and then the rest is like store brand. What's your favorite sauce?
God, we're out of material if this is already where we are. We're really struggling here today.
Welcome back to 7 on 7. Yeah, what's your favorite sauce? We like to get to the heart.
Do you know what is actually top tier, right? Well, again, Americans and other people that's maybe lost in you. Nando's, okay?
Okay, I'm with you.
The chili jam that comes with the halloumi sticks.
Right.
Have you ever had that? Top.
Yeah.
Top.
It's up there. I like spice. I like Tabasco. I'm not the kind of Tabasco person that travels with little bottles of Tabasco that some Tabasco people do.
Yeah, so you're in the army.
Like, legitimately, there are people out there that go to a restaurant with their own pocket Tabasco, just in case, which is a level of preparedness, A, that I don't have in any aspect of my whole adult life, but B, that's not my first thought when I'm going out. It's like keys, phone, purse, everything, cards, done. They have Tabasco pretty high on that list, just in case. And yeah, that's all my Tabasco material. I'm really sorry, gang. If you were hoping for a type 5 about Tabasco, we've hit the bottom of the barrel quite fast. The bottom of the bottle! It was right there, Demo.
Yeah, you're the one who does the puns, not me.
I know.
That's on you.
Another slight pause. If you haven't picked up, we're not holding you here like a sort of ransom. This isn't a cruel trick, cruel Halloween prank. Happy Halloween, happy spooky month. I know it's not Halloween yet, but we're not doing a show on Halloween. So if you're really that frustrated about me saying it right now, save the recording and listen to it in about 15 days, however many days there are in this month. I don't know months. I know I've already asked you what you're dressing up as Halloween, so I can't even reuse that material. Hang on, let me just flip quickly through my material demo. What does it say?
You need the thing out of Men in Black that erases people's memories. So
Erase the memories.
Old content. Yeah.
Can you hear me flipping through my notes here?
Yeah, I know.
Here's the one that it says, let's go to commercials because we don't know how long it's going to be. So we're going to go to quick commercials.
You know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
Keep an eye out for contacts.
Welcome back. That was a quick one. I hope you're now hungry for cookies because we've got a delicious one to nibble on, which is this showdown. Faze versus Furia. If you missed map 1, Furia won it pretty handily, would you say, Demo?
Yeah, pretty simple, I think, for Furia. It was just second nature to them, how they played that bank. And yeah, for FaZe, you now look at them and you think, is that it? You know, is this just a sign of what's to come coming into Skyscraper? You know, FaZe Clan need to really turn the ship around because they're headed for an iceberg. You know, that's the way I look at it. It's guaranteed that they're going to lose this game unless they change things on how they did it back, because it was not a pretty sight.
I like how the little bits that we now have after the first desk and before the map starts have almost turned into like fever dreams. Did they really happen? No one knows. We're in the game now. Don't think about it. Don't scan the VODs. You'll never find your way back.
Deploying welcome mat.
We're trying to talk about these bands here, Demo.
Yeah, well, we have Skyscraper. Notoriously a very defender-sided map. So for FaZe, on the attack, not going to be too healthy for them. Furia, look at their attacker bands. You've removed, obviously, a hard breacher, which, you know, Ace, I think, as the kind of one hard breacher that you typically see. Because, yes, there's not as many walls you have to worry about compared to maps like your banks, your labs, your clubhouses, for example. But there is still an element of hard breacher, and you can probably just take one, and that will suffice. So you remove the Ace, probably the easier of the hard breachers to bring. Just good gun. You can open up 3 walls as compared to just the 2 that Thermite can go for, and you can do it at range as well, always handy. And you've also removed the Grim, which, as we know, fantastic for a util dump, which is really the key for the attackers. Your util game needs to be on point. On this map, there are so many difficult positions to clear defenders out of, where they're going to be locked in behind a lot of cover, a lot of util, some really strong crossfires. You need to find a way to clear those players out in a safe manner. And by doing that with your util is usually the way forward. That's why you see FaZe, they have the Capital on board, because they know that's a great operator for this map. You can clear out different strong positions without actually have to take in a gunfight.
So at this point, Felipox holding onto the position. Now he was the man of the previous moment, 13-3, but as JV92 gets the first bit of cover, he's actually able to escape for what was sort of building into an unsurmountable and unshakable kill. Here now, tucked on a different corner and under no other stress. There's at least a play of track stingers, but it's not going to do much other than just mildly irritate him and take a couple of bullets out of his clip. Now, they have to pull off, and Nade does find another. So at this point, FaZe, bit of a false landing here. The rough bit of the rumble is that they're opening on their attack from the map that we are at, where they sort of closed out on a rougher half, to leading in here immediately on a bit of a back foot. Souls will slip through. There's the pick back up. There's another trade out, and suddenly 2. Okay, great explosion has got them a couple of kills each, but Nade has the long watch onto Cyber. That kill is maybe what has defined the round now at this point. Nade still standing, but barely, with a single smoke and 40 seconds, Demo.
Don't know why he's swinging for no reason. His teammate isn't with him. I thought FaZe has done really well to get themselves back in. They've traded kills back and forth to obviously make it an even man count. Don't forget, KDS doesn't have the kit, so he has to just play for kills. The kit is almost in another universe with how far away he is from it, and just not enough time to really afford to go and get that. So yeah, has to try and find the 2 kills. He knows that one is going to be pinched, but KZ thinks, I'll swing him before he swings me. The Furia lock it out with the first round. I mean, Furia just playing the design of the map, you know, trade their kills back and forth, making it difficult for FaZe to really have a foothold in that map, which, again, like we mentioned on the defender-sided map, that's what's going to happen. If you are willing to allow Skyscraper up, you have to be good at this map. This is one of the most punishing maps, I feel, if you do not know what you're doing.
So, including the 3 from the end of the previous map, that now puts Furia up to 4 defenses in a row. And yeah, it's over 2 different maps, 2 different bits of momentum. But remember how downtrodden FaZe felt in the previous map. And coming into this with sort of fresh ideas, fresh energy, and what started to be a bit of a blow before becoming a blowback, getting themselves that well-connected sort of, you know, 3 kills pulling themselves back together to where we go next. I mean, if this round goes away from them, it might just be too much wind out of their sails at that point to have to try and dig themselves back in. There's always the potential. But we'll see if they can try and get that's just a little bit more synergy on the final landing. The good split is the fact that they were at least in some part immediately in. Remember how the previous map opened? It was 2 flawless rounds for Furia. It's a monumental improvement from opening round energy. And as they get themselves to approach I was going to say the other side, but the underside first. Catch the cams, a bit of a spray back from KZ, and he's going to cause some problems here on Black Stairs. Sort of say, chase me, chase me. We'll see if they decide to. Oh, no, this doesn't look like they will. Is Handy just going to send it in?
Well, this is what you get whenever you have to deal with the electrifications on board. You have to go for the Maverick play, and that is always very difficult. JV with the C4. Able to pick off that Maverick, and there is no way that Faze are going to be able to get that breach open now unless they can somehow get themselves into position to destroy that Cade Claw, but I just don't see that happening. So Faze, I dare say, Emmy, the round's done already.
You kind of hope not, but it's been a tough day at the office for Cyber so far in general. He was the lowest rated player on the previous map, and before he was the highest rated between these two teams in the last showdown, which didn't even go into Faze's favor. It sort of shows the importance of him getting involved. They do get 1 kill back, get KZ, get themselves into the 4 versus 4, but as I said quite a while ago, this was him trying to draw attention over towards this site. This sort of pull of saying, look, come get me, I'm here, go for the full clear, and now they have to, in a way. Crossing the divide, ready to swing on towards Shrine. There's 1 player tucked in a corner, and they're going to go for the pinch itself. They've actually got themselves quite deep as Vidaking crouches their way round, drives right on towards the box player, and yeah, there's the finish. There's JV92 getting 1 on the split, though. They get Felipox down. In the meantime, they've been able to pick up other kills elsewhere, and all on a default cam. It's been read and put to bed. 2 versus 2, though. Get some stability. They have the site. They're going to go for the plant itself. Where are Herds and Nade, and how are they trying to get themselves back in? They're not far away. There's a spray through. Nade almost goes down. The C4 doesn't catch. Herds almost goes down as well. Great work here from Vidaking and Souls to be able to just find a pocket to plant. There's a 3rd for the round for Vidaking. Herds, no HP. And now, not quite blind, but they wanted it just to get the crossfire. Don't even need it. Souls finalizes the round.
Wow. I think that's a very poorly played round by Furia. Really. You've removed the hard breacher. You can't get through those walls. The only way that Faze can get into that bomb site is through the 2 doorways, and that is it. The mistake that Furia made was they overextended themselves massively when they did not need to. What they should have done, Emmy, was they then should have played that layered defense that we like to talk about, where yes, you will hold in towards Dragon, in towards Strom, then you slowly pull yourself out of there, then you get back into sight and you fortify that. I didn't see any of that. Furia were just firing bodies at Faze and gave them the opportunity to get themselves back into that round.
At this point, maybe not all is lost. Even with the early loss, as you said, of the Maverick and the risk that the round was pulled away from them, that they had to suddenly be so different in their approach, right? They'd set themselves up towards that top house and VIP take. They'd gone for the pressure they could apply there, and it just did not work. Didn't quite have the netted success. So instead, on towards the other side, got the first pick on towards the Azami, and then from then, had a bit of a pinch and a fight over Jerome Cyber. Well, I said we wanted to sort of see a bit more from him, and there's the perfect way to open the round.
As soon as the round ended.
Good start. Down goes Herds. And I mean, it's something that's in a few times as well, where on Skyscraper, some defenders will try and just make it some more difficult with attempting the spawn peek. But again, spawn peek's it's a risk, isn't it? It's either you get the kill or you die. And if you get the kill, yeah, brilliant. Great job. Good stuff. If you die, though, you do look quite the fool. And I think that's kind of the situation here for Hertz. So Furia already a man down. I mean, it's not that an operator that you're worried about based on util, because Goyo would already place down his canister, so not really an issue. For Faze, you can see that it's a double shield approach coming in for that room clear, so they're interested in trying to take in towards VIP, in towards Dragon, and just try and steady the approach. Biggest issue, though, I think that Faze may run into is potentially the sheer amount of util that Fury have on board. Yeah, you've got the Goyos, you've got the Aruni, you've got the Azami as well, which we know is always going to be a big issue whenever it comes to Skyscraper. It's just, do they have enough in the tank? They still got 2 nades. So they really have to think, do we want to use the nades to remove Goyo canisters or use the nades to remove the Azami barrier? So it is certainly a decision that they have to try and think about here.
Well, there's too many options, and a great push through there. Lost for choice, but JV chooses Handy to get a bit of revenge. Ready for the slow-moving Blackbeard to approach. The second shield takes a bit of damage, and they're forced further and further back. But with the man advantage, the 2 shields just driving and driving across the top floor. An air jab to try and lock out this position. And just look, they're not going too fast. It's a slow-moving train, but it's still as terrifying. A C4 ready to put some pressure on towards, and there it is. Perfectly baited, waited, and caught. KZ actually tucks themselves in just on the other side of the approach wall. Another air jab, a swing round. Didn't really need to go, but I guess read the warning signs that they were surrounded. Put their hands up, and KZ, you're being watched as well. They seem to have a good awareness on when Furia want to test the boundaries. And there's another boundary pushed. Just KZ left alive, trying to find a single place to spot, but I mean, there was really nowhere to go against the Blackbeard. Faze pulled themselves ahead.
Yeah, slow and steady for Faze. Never once did they think, okay, let's try and rush things up, speed things up. They were always controlled in what they wanted to do. Yes, they lost the Blitz, who, by the way, if you're curious how that Blitz died, considering he was more or less full health, looking straight at C4, he went up the stairs, so he elevated himself, which meant that his feet were kind of exposed to the C4. A lot of angles, a lot of trigonometry. I'm not well coursed in that, but trust me, as a shield player, it kills you. So that's why he elevated himself. C4 able to get the just the catch onto his legs, blow him up. But yeah, just slow and steady wins the race. I think they used the shields really well to not necessarily get the kills, but gain the information for the other players. I think they worked really well together as a team, clearing room by room. Shields goes in first, gets the information, somebody follows behind, with that information, gets the easy picks. I mean, we've seen a great display of that on the player inside a drum.
At this point, Faze, what a reimagining they've been able to get themselves on. I like that we're getting a bit more control from them. Obviously, the criticism that you sort of had on the first round is why are you swinging that, and it's a very fair criticism to have because of how they pulled that round back. They could have done a bit more. That round was so steady-handed. They didn't throw themselves in immediately. They got that opening kill and they were like, we can build behind this. We can sort of slow build, slow boil, push what we need to, and then go from there. The fact that it's pulled out a single shield ban, I think sort of shows the fear from a regard there. You look at the sort of 3 bans that Furia have put together and it's almost 3 entirely different elements, right? They're not trying to remove a single aspect of a game, and I think that's because the Blitz ban has come as a bit of a switch round, but then also combined with an Alaban, that's a team going, oh yeah, we could use shields against these guys. We could put pressure on towards these swing lock-ins, and we might get a bit more of a showing. Not on this round, as the spray through does get the down onto Herds. KZ's watching and waiting in case somebody tries to finish the kill. They're going to ensure they can get a trade out, but as soon as the man is clear, get him up and get out of there.
What is this guy doing? I don't know what that is. Maybe he's trolling. I don't know. I'm not trying to shame him.
Obviously the bans for Fury with that Blitz gone. This means that Faze can have that same fast approach as what the Blitz can bring to it. Faze, it's figuring out how they want to go about this, and just based on their operator lineup, I mean, it kind of feels as though it could be a quick kind of take in through Black, in through Karaoke as well. I mean, you've got the sense here to try and cover off as the plant goes in towards Karaoke, so I think that is going to be the option, but it's all about how well you can take control of Black, though, if you go for this, and I think that's going to be the tricky thing. Cyber certainly find it very tricky to work his way in through that bottom floor. He is being held by Vert angles. These souls also be held off by that smoke. That's who they're trying to hunt. That's who they want to try and kill. And here comes the Candelas to try and pump in, try and blind them out. And oh, there we go, souls. Put it straight through the smoke. Picks up his kill. AV on the wiser.
Yeah, you could see they went for a second to try and get some support on towards it, but there was nothing Nate could really do. KZ does get souls though, and at that point, it's sort of been a good pick back, but it's a lot of the utility traded. There's a bit of a fight that might come to pass on the hop out window here. Think about where the kid is, and now think about what they have and where they're trying to get themselves back to. They're worried that Furia is going to try and loop and rotate behind them. They've got to rebuild a little bit more structure now because they threw themselves in, and that's a man on an island hoping that somebody comes in to offer some support. And, well, as some support has come, they've been able to loop themselves a way out, and the Deimos can start trying to track from underneath, put some pressure on the verticality, which is obviously so terrifying to have any sort of corner and a spot on. Felipox is going to probably be Deimos' prime target. They can't quite get that read on them, and with 30 seconds left, they almost need to have another do-or-die debonair moment to drive themselves through in the 4 versus 4. It's tough, but you also still have a C4 on the board. They can play one more game of long-range keep away, but as JV92 gets the lockdown on one, KZ gets the other, and here with Felipox just swinging the window. Unfortunately, too little, too late. Drops on towards 1, 10 seconds to find 3 more in a crossfire, which they cannot.
Yeah, I think there was a period where Faze, they kind of stalled out almost. And I think if you stall out against Furia, you're not getting back on the road again. You know, the attempt was obviously targeting that karaoke, using the sense on the karaoke window. It blocks that line of sight that players would have from Geisha. You have the Ying forcing their way in through top black. But as soon as they lost that Ying, they didn't really know what they wanted to do. They looked a little bit stunned. Now, I think what they probably missed out on was, you know, the idea was to try and still force your way in through karaoke, which they're able to do. But there is a player to sat in T, hold an angle onto the player as he runs in the karaoke. Was there no sense wall that they could have sent through the long corridor to block that angle off? I mean, that's a bit of a rookie mistake as far as I'm concerned. You know, you've got the Sense, who has, what, 4? Is it 4 Sense walls free? Something like that. You have one for the karaoke, and then you use the other one for the long angle. Why did that not come in?
5 seconds remaining.
I guess at this point, we'll see if they can try and maybe get a bit more of a semblance of a push. It was that site as well where you were sort of talking about how their ability to collapse together wasn't quite there, how their ability to be assertive in some manner as a team with their utility wasn't quite there. So maybe it's just that site thing, why they couldn't quite get their gadgetry at the same. Maybe they struggle to get to grips with the shape of it. Here was a bit more of a weird round because they were off on the back foot and they had to come up with an entirely new reimagined plan. And, well, with Cyber back on the Maverick, they're almost falling back to their old ways, but we'll see if they can get a catch on somebody a bit earlier this time. And I'm wondering if the dedication of supporting and adding structure towards the other side of the map is something that Furia instead invest a little bit more on, because they actually did some decent pressure on the retake, right? They had themselves flanking around the approaching attackers, offered some support, and just missed the engagements on the fight. A couple of lines being burnt and a big wall, and Cyber survives. But a life full of bullet holes isn't going to be the happiest to lead from this point onwards. Oh, as KDS gets gifted the head of JV92, tried to dabble out. I mean, I say gifted, look at the help of KDS. He almost pulled away from that as the shield is beaten on. You know, Felipox knows his time is limited, right? Because the pressure with that engagement being lost elsewhere, he can't just sit and wait for this to follow through. A sort of plucky C4 and a bit of a help from Drum does get some support as now the shield is the man that's a little bit more isolated. Nade gets himself a second, though, and suddenly the tides have turned. They can put the pressure on towards this Monty. Monty had all this support, and it's just fallen away, and now Handy is alone in Geisha. And what huge work from the support structure there of Furia.
Oh, Andy. I feel his pain. It's the worst thing as a Monty whenever you're giving out clear information. There's a guy right in front of me. Kill him. And then you're seeing your teammates just drop one by one around you, and it's just you. There is nothing worse as a Monty than having to deal with that. And yeah, I mean, he may try. He may try, but it's just nothing's going to come for Handy. There's no way that he's going to be gifted a kill. Get themselves back in, and Cyber, he's terrified. Look at his HP. He knows just anything. A strong breeze can kill him at this stage. Andy knows the guy beside him, and runs straight into Herds, who's ready. Shoots legs. Cyber, yeah, down he goes. Furia. What a weird round. Weird round. All of the action away from the bomb site.
Yeah, it's sort of what I called a bit, where I was wondering, okay, are Furia going to dedicate more towards watching above? Yes. Are Faze going to try and take it first? Yes. It's a weird way that it played out. It was almost, actually, if you think about this win con of the last time round, the fact that Faze did so much work in attempting more of a direct push, and they could just actually end up doing a bit of a direct push after they lost out on the other side. Either way, that's now 2 defenses in a row. They get themselves the lead since the very first round. Can Faze try and get themselves tied up here, get an even half before they head onto their defenses?
Still think, though, 2 attacks is good, for Faze. It's not a horrific half where you're sitting staring at the barrel of like a 6-0. 2 attacks is fine for Molecules from Faze. I mean, if they get another one, then yeah, Furia. Pressure is on them. I mean, typically for me, I think 5-1 splits are almost common. As crazy as that may sound, that 5-1 splits are common, but no, it is. It's a really difficult map to attack, and I have said that Furia, especially that second round on their defense, I think that's what they'll kick themselves about. They killed the Maverick, and then I think they just played the round just awful with the decision making. Didn't play to the advantage of an early pick that they were able to knock out such a big operator in terms of what he was able to bring, being that Maverick. So yeah, Furia, see if they can make a 4-2 half as they go in towards the kitchen. Now, I mean, last time here for Faze, with the shields, slow and steady won the race for them. That's what they were really concerned about, was just taking their time. They didn't want to overexpose themselves at any moment. They worked together as a team, played off the shields. Now you look at the lineup here and the way that they're gearing up, I think it's going to be a quick take. They're going to try and get themselves straight into barbecue and try and go for a plant.
Yeah, it's the, misthrown first grenade, doesn't quite catch the castle. The second will get rid of it, and it gives the Monty an option. But the Monty's going to sit and wait for now, as I think they're going to try and just read and ensure they're not throwing themselves entirely into a bit of a cook's plan. At this point, I'm not going to say you can see Furia getting angsty. It's more that they like to find the first engagement, right? They love swinging out into an approach and making things uncomfortable, and they're talented at doing it enough. And you can see that they're trying to fish for that in some positions outside of this one, which would probably be very detrimental. And Nade does find the Monty. Oh no! That was the one person that you really didn't want to lose as your first lead in. That's the kit dropped wherever it was, and that is now plan B immediately pulled up towards the docket. Look how deep the Monty had got.
Yeah, I mean, they just wanted to try and push in the site. That was as simple as that, Hammy. They wanted to move in and try and go for that blind spot planet where you put the shield in your back and nobody can really touch you. But if you lose the Monty, the plan's cooked. You just have to try and play for kills, which, I mean, Faze, for them, it is doable, but hey, it's going to be tough.
Obviously also lost Cyber as well, but KZ has been removed on the opposite side. Souls is the next to get into a scrap, and it's a fight around the side of the sushi bar. Gets the head of JV92, and there's a second follow through. Now the limits the verticality. Leapbox and Nade can get themselves a bit of a long watch. Are Faze going to try and push against this directly, find the fights? The blinds come out, and they're going to swing in on towards it. It's an engagement. They've got to win, and they do. They pre-fire on towards the second follow through. A 2 versus 1 for Leapbox. Tried to offer cover, but KDS through the wall. Gets the end of them, and Faze, they get us an even half.
Oh, they have pulled that out of nowhere. I mean, the shots that the glass had hit. Top tier. Yeah, I mean, moments like that in these big games. Faze have not played great in those attacks. But they had individuals there who stepped up and won them rounds that they shouldn't have. And now they're sat in such a favorable position. And even splitting Skyscraper, that is unheard of. Faze done oh so well to set them up nicely for, you know, it should be a pretty comfy defense half. Furia, the pressure now is on their shoulders.
So, Furia, a map that they haven't had the best record on, but they haven't really had a massive record on it anyway. And Faze, who, similar sort of story, but just a little bit more positive in their history. So it's usually banned against them. They're happier to come here, and I guess we might get a taste of why. Great bits of momentum to steal things back. Swinging a glass rifle round has seemingly been the best operator today across both these two teams. Furia. Limited partially on their approach. No Monty, none of that drive anymore. You obviously have it being a very powerful operator for getting control of big swathes of space of this map. And we know Nade does like to play a Monty game. Felipox has been on that operator as well. Sort of pulls that element, as well as playing against the soft, the Deimos. As I said before, it's great limitation in terms of controlling those pocket spots, the sort of corners where you're hanging around between Geisha and the side itself. Those little angles aren't quite as feasible. Let's see how they can get themselves the approach here. Furia, obviously only a few rounds separating themselves away from, you know, better prize pool, Hasai points, all of the jazz, but also beating sort of perennial rivals Faze.
Always the matchup that both these teams want to win. You mentioned it earlier as well in the day. Both of these teams see each other as, you know, their number one competitors. You know, that's the way they view each other. And right now, for Furia, on their first attack, you can see straight away the util dump has been brought in abundance. You've got the Capitao and you've got the Grim. So I'm expecting Furia to play that kind of 3-2-1 style where they go very aggressive all at the same time, using that util to shift players out of position. In Faze themselves, they've also went in pretty heavy with the traps. You've got the Ela and the Fenrir probably fearing that 3-2-1 execute from Furia. You're going to need to try and disrupt them in some way, and they're going to do that via the traps. Again, for Furia, it's just this information gathering. They're just trying to find out where players are going to be situated. They've also got the buck below. I think they're using the buck as a way of util almost. They're going to try and move people out of position, and here comes a little bit of a crab walk using that Dokumi. Easy kill. Maybe a second? No. Andy is onto that one.
Traded out, and they're able to at least get the Dokumi, and that's probably a happier take than Souls from the position of Fenrir. You can see the shrapnel coming up below them.
Look at that.
Just turned away at the worst possible second. Still another trade out elsewhere, though. Faze are making sure that they stay even with this trade out, and there's a drop round swing, but now it's Furia in the terms of just finding a different engagement, and, well, they have still a sort of grasp on the site itself. A moment to breathe, but they're not a million miles away, and all these engagements have been quite isolated. It's picked back up, it's pressures back and forth, doubled up on the side of Drum. They're about to find a very narrow 5-5. Vidaking took a risk, and Herds gets one more on towards KDS. The shotgun can't quite get the full part. Oh, that's unlucky, but unlucky doesn't define rounds.
Oh,
Furia.
King has to get that, Emmy. He has to. Yep. I mean, considering that is like the one operator that he really plays for this team as well. Like, he's obviously on that kind of support role, isn't he? Playing that smoke, playing that shotgun just in general. He should be used to that. And to see him miss that pump, it's unlike him. It's very uncharacteristic. And I think that's maybe the word to use for Faze today. I think it has been an uncharacteristic performance from them. I mean, Banked was a write-off from all accords. It's a map which I think Faze, they're very good on. We know they're very good on. It's a map that they like to play. You wouldn't have fought that considering how they went into that bank. And, you know, you come in the Skyscraper and certainly I think there has been rounds of Furia that they should have won. And I think a lot of the rounds that Faze were able to win was because they came back from a position that they had no right to because individuals stepped up and got some crazy kills. It is a worry for Faze, I think, today with kind of what we've seen. And certainly losing the first defense in the manner that they did. I mean, all credit to Furia. Phenomenal attack The way that they were able to use that puck below, shift players out of position, use the dope beat, get the opening pick, util dump the guy instead of Geisha, get yourself that map control, and then just play your trade games from there. I mean, they've done it really, really well. So, yeah, for Furia, they've started off really hot. The Faze, they need to do a lot better. They need to.
At this point, if this round goes away from them, you can imagine a Faze timeout to keep themselves off of that map and series point. In such a fashion, just as he said, doesn't really feel like the Faze we've had throughout this. And as Handy goes down, it's a series that you might be one keen to forget. Lines come up. They're going to see if they can keep the roll going. Cyber does get one, but KZ just absolutely bodies one. And there's Cyber fighting right back. Might be about to lean into his third fight as well. You can see that they're itching for the engagement, and there's a bit of a spray back and forth. They can't quite get it locked in. A misthrow, and it kind of shows the shakiness of the approach here. They're desperately clawing at these approaching attackers, just trying to get something out of them. The sense gadget, look at the pace. Cyber is able to just swing and drift his way around and decimate this approach. Either side, risk-taking and getting opportunities. As I said, the importance of this player when he shows up in the showdowns that FaZe have always had, let alone against this roster. Again, another moment to breathe. A 2 versus 2 with a Blackbeard who can sort of fish for answers and stack up some preparation.
This Blackbeard's the issue. You know, it's that shield where he can take these rooms without having to expose himself in a hole. That really should have been a kill from JV. And Cyber, is he on for the ace? Another individual for FaZe, stepping up when they need to. JV will make it a 1v1 with that kill on the KDS, and Cyber, the ace clutch. Oh, he gets it. Cyber, that's more like him. You mentioned he went missing, Emmy. Well, who's laughing now?
Yeah, he's found himself and found that energy. And, you know, there was almost a moment as well at the start of that round, obviously wasn't looking fantastic even then. He was 3-6 compared to how he usually is. He was 5 for 14 for the whole day before that round. And it's just him finding a form is a necessary sort of antidote towards the poison that's otherwise hitting them. 4-4, tie themselves back up on rounds. But as I said it a long, long time ago for, you know, a very different round on towards their open office when it was a different player who got an ace. You can't always rely on that. You can't always have that in the bank. This has been a much more competitive game. And this time it's more about the player sort of finding themselves and finding that energy. At the same time, what you're sort of getting as the split is some of those players from the first map, like Felipox and KZ, who were, you know, +10, +5 between the four of them, and KZ 4-0 on entry. Them unable to get themselves into that rhythm here on this, and them sort of dropping off gives FaZe opportunity. And talk about opportunity, the way Cyber was just swinging everything. There's a fight. He's taking it, buddy. Don't need to ask twice.
Look, I will say again, it just highlights the issues again that FaZe, I mean, once again, they've won around down to an individual. You know, that's the issue. And you mentioned as well, how consistently can they do that? We've seen an ace on the bank game in the third round. And did we see any more aces after that? No. It's not a consistent way that you can win the game. And I think that's the worry that FaZe has. I mean, Furia in that attack, look, it was fast, it was aggressive, they just wanted, I mean, it's almost as though they kind of seemed like a wounded gazelle and they wanted to go in for the kill, but they didn't realize that the gazelle actually, you know, it can shake it off very quickly.
The gazelle's got guns. Well, they've also got the sight now. Furia's in, and the C4 doesn't quite get them off, but, well, Furia does find KDS. So they've at least been able to get one out of the engagement. Nade just sort of being a bit back and forth. Cyber continues his reign of terror from the previous round. Gets KZ and gets the pressure on. Nade is doing his best to survive, and JV92 does get Cyber. Finally ends him after 6 kills in a row. But now, with a little moment of silence and one body less, can the remaining FaZe players still hold on as JV92 gets one, gets no! Can't quite get the second right move, couldn't quite land it, and now Vidaking is alone. Nade's going for the plant, a shield on his back, so he'll be as safe as houses. But Herds knocks down the skyscraper defense. Furia keep themselves ahead, keep themselves trading around it at this rate. They'll still be hurtling towards that sort of eventual win. But what bans do we get through?
Yeah, the bans is something that Skyscraper will look at and think, okay, what has kind of hindered both of these sides quite a bit? I mean, do we dare see an Ela ban? I mean, it could be a possibility for Furia just to target ban that one player. Oh, no, it's going to be the Defender. I would have loved to see the Ela, though, just to assert dominance against Cyber. Yeah, again, it's one of those rounds where I think FaZe just have not reacted well to what Furia were going for. It was Souls, obviously, on the Mira, who was dealing with a lot of that pressure. But nobody was really helping him. I mean, his wall was getting aced. There was a blitz in the bomb site with him. And just nobody really seemed to be bothered from FaZe. I mean, is it a case where FaZe were worried, you know, if we go and help our player in sight, we're then leaving other areas open for the rest of Furia to take those strong positions? Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's, they kind of said to him, look, mate, you're on your own. We can't help you here.
They want to keep themselves, obviously, off of that eventual series point. JV, I mean, they sort of highlighted him before on the desk as well and talked about him. How many times you can talk about him? 11-8. Just has this habitual method of being great, right? And that's what always separates good from great. It isn't showing up and having the best game. It isn't showing up and setting a sort of kill record or whatever. It's being able to just consistently be at that level. And he's bloody consistent. He's pretty good at the game. Moral of the story, I think he gets himself, as I have a very quick look at the stats, is the top rated across everybody. And to be fair, in the top 5, 3 of them are Furia players from this stage. So for the SAL ranking, not overall rankings. Everybody, don't come for me. Don't come for me. I'll cut you.
You can send all threats come to my inbox, please.
Yeah, please threaten demo.
Yeah.
If I don't read my inbox. Well, Cyber's off the Ela.
Cyber, what are you doing? He was trying to prep the window. I don't know what he was doing with the shotgun, and he just blew it open. I don't know. It's full pick anyway. Same thing, but doesn't look as though anyone actually spawned towards that side. And the Solus, I haven't mentioned this as well. Our first time casting with the Solus update.
Oh, he's going to go for it.
Obviously, you get the impacts, and you can do stuff like this with the impacts. That was always going to be a 1-for-1. But look at what he's been able to take out through that blitz. And that's a strong operator. Get up the board. We know what the shields can bring in that blitz skyscraper. But you are pushing out of single doorways. You can check rooms of ease. Not a bad trade overall, but still a 1-for-1.
I think it's like, you know, the fact that he had to hop to get the kill shows a big takeaway, and obviously seeing it from the Solace and seeing what fight he was getting into, it is a risk, and it's a risk that he hoped wasn't as covered. Maybe he could have got the kill and then heads up and at least challenge the second guy. Ooh. Narrow margins, gets 1, the C4 gets nothing, but FaZe do get themselves that man advantage after the timeout.
I mean, they can walk into Geisha here pretty freely, but they need to try and win this engagement against Handy, but Vidaking swings on the nade to allow that kill to happen. So we will not be seeing the twins go at it. Instead, Furia look as though they're just going to stall out. 2v4. I mean, maybe now you kind of look at the bigger picture. That blitz pick was really good. I mean, you've kind of slowed the fast approach that Furia we know that they can bring. So in the long run, yes, Cyber, you go for the run-outs, mate. You get the trades as long as it's the blitz that you're killing.
I think that's it, right? If you were to pluck anybody away, just the power of the shield that it's had over the approaches here, the power of taking opportunities and how it limits what has otherwise been... Think about all the crossfires that Furia have just had to walk into now, that if they had a blitz and they could offer at least some support one way or the other, well, there's one way and the other. Casey, gone. JV92 alone. Doesn't matter if you're the #1 player. It's tough to win an engagement like that. We are tied up yet again, 5 apiece. Can FaZe break a deadlock that they've otherwise been stuck in, try and get 2 rounds in a row and get themselves back on towards that leading point? Or can Furia, as I said, keep round trading? They're back over towards Exhibition Office. They have this as another option. It's a very sturdy defense to have. But sometimes Furia enjoy knocking down sturdy.
And defuse bombs.
This is always, I think, the 10th round, isn't it? Round 11, 5-5. Whoever wins this gets on the match point. Then whoever doesn't win the round and is down the round, they know that they can't mess up. They have to then play a perfect round into round 12. So I always think a very pivotal round just in terms of mentality for both teams and see who gets the shorter end of the straw. Obviously for FaZe, looking at their lineup, they're going to want to extend, use the Azami, use the Mira, set up those kind of layered defenses that we like to talk about. Furia, on the other hand, look at the lineup. It is as fast and as furious as any of the movies go. This one, I think, will top it.
Dun, 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 dun. I know that's from Tokyo Drift, but it's always the song that I associate with the whole series. We'll see if it's the one that they're singing as they get themselves ready to rock and roll. Blackbeard wants to hop in on towards Samurai Window. The LR actually runs out on the far side to sort of say, no, you're not going to get yourself an early quick play here. They're ready for this first engagement. There's some fire that's fired over the shoulder of KZ. It's not that they're being quiet about it. So it's at this point down to FaZe to be ready to react. There's some of the damage done. The first play of the grenade is to make sure it gets stopped. And there, the Rara wall going up. The C4 will slip its way through, get the first. But it's a big utility trade out. There needs to be some other support coming in. There's going to be another Rara door that's just going to link itself up there. They've still got an impact. They've still got a couple of bits of destruction. And there's the next. And the swing round Cyber. Perfect 1-2. Jab, jab. And now, what do they do without the Rara and without JV92?
Oh, they've reacted so well, FaZe. You see how quickly a lot of them came back to the bomb site as soon as SAL said, guys, they're kind of at my window, and I think there's more than just one. So I get the feeling there may be a rush in FaZe. They've set themselves up beautifully to stop this from happening. They brought the explosives in to deal with that Aurora. Oh, almost. Urge gets taken out, but just jumps over the top rope before that happens. And goes Vitiking. Leapox needs to be very careful because we know that Cyber at the moment is a man on a mission.
There's a bit more damage done. Back and forth, KDS keeps on killing him. Leapox takes a lot of damage, a 2 versus 3. They've got themselves partially inside the building, but as Souls gets one more, they're knocked right back out. Nade, all alone, outside a big breach, watching, waiting. Ooh, does get the shoulder of Souls, swings onto the second, but can't quite land anything. FaZe, they put themselves on towards map point and eye up a third map.
Well, I mean, we've seen that before from Furia, where they've just went for the kind of util dump. But as soon as a team knows what you're going to go for, it is very easy to stop. And again, FaZe, they knew it was coming, and they just put more men into the bomb site, and that's what really done it for them. I mean, Furia, you could see that the pivotal thing that they needed to happen was they block off that double door to allow them to jump in through that window. And FaZe were not entertaining that idea at all. C4 used, impact used, with the swing to kill the Aurora. As soon as they lost that Aurora, they couldn't really kind of set out to what they wanted to do, which is also flood in, not just from the breach, but also flood in through the single window. So, yeah, overall, again, I have to give praise to FaZe. They've reacted really well, which is something that they didn't do at all, I felt, whenever it came to Bank. You know, they were very sluggish at reacting to how Furia were setting up with some of their attacks. So, yeah, much better improvement from FaZe.
Attackers need to locate Locate and defuse bombs.
So now with another timeout called and Furia wanting to make sure that they at least send this one as a brawl in towards OT, will Skyscraper be that de facto divider? Will we find ourselves with a 2-0, or will Parker and Jesse's day get delayed at least an hour? There's always the possibility, as I sort of said, if Faze can pull this off, if we start looking in towards Chalet as a decider, Faze is 4-0 on Chalet, which includes a 7-2 win against Furia over sort of recent memory, and also, a 7-4 win against Furia in recent memory. It's a decent battleground for them. In the meantime, Furia lost it 2-7 against Team Liquid about 2 weeks ago. They beat W7M on it a week ago, but there's always that opportunity here for FaZe to, as I said, if they can get themselves some energy here and get themselves onto the third map, a map that does play in towards their strength on Chalet. I mean, maybe them sort of holding their cards to the chest on the first map is something that's pulled themselves in. They have that energy. Timed the rotate there based on the sound of the drone going up, knew that they were under pressure and just didn't want to have the long range fight for a pinch.
See, Furia, they've really slowed the pace down, haven't they? Compared to how they've usually attacked this map in previous rounds. And we are dealing with the fourth choice bomb site, the one that we never really see. It's this living room. I think the main issues with the living room is just you've got hatches, which, yes, there is a hatch that goes into kitchen from Geisha, but Geisha is a lot more of an easier place to hold compared to Office, because Office has that massive double breach. You have the exterior window as well. It's just, there's a lot more that you have to worry about for the defense rather than just a big window and a single wall whenever you're dealing with Geisha. So that's why I think this isn't the preferred bomb site choice for a lot of teams. Andy has been able to get the opening pick on the Herds. And also looking to get a little bit aggressive too. KDS takes down KZ, and FaZe look as though they're set up to take us into Chalet.
Holding on, waiting for the next swing that comes out. JV92 does win against Handy. There's another patient, quiet, falls across. Ooh, just misses. A following engagement, less than a minute. And they've been able to creep their way in. They have control of Terrace. Oh, no, they don't. The swing round for the double, Cyber. Talked about his importance. He was here as the man of the moment, and now it's JV92 versus the world. The world wins this one, buddy. FaZe, they get themselves map 2, and we get ourselves 3 for this showdown to be confirmed.
Hey, it's what is deserved. FaZe, they've woke up so much better compared to Bind. Better energy, reacting, I think, is the main thing to get across there for FaZe. They were ready, they were geared up, they kind of seen those attacks coming in from Furia, and they're like, okay, let's just do X, Y, and Z, and that should stop it. And usually that's kind of what happens. So yeah, still individuals showing up. Do not let that, distract you from the FaZe performance. Still think overall for FaZe, going into Chalet, the momentum's with them now, which is the main thing.
Don't let it distract you from the performance, but do let this distract you for a couple of minutes as we go into breaks.
You know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
Keep an eye out for contact.
This is the most dangerous planet. And you've come to hunt an apex predator. You might not be alone in this hunt.
Predator Badlands in theaters November 7th.
So with all these Hilton Honors points, I could stay for free. Mm-hmm. At the Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives?
Yep. Hilton Honors, babe.
Ooh. What about the Canopy in Paris?
Babe, Hilton Honors. How long has that been here?
And there's no blackout dates?
Hilton Honors, baby.
There's no way the Conrad Tulum's included.
When you want points that can take you anywhere,
Hilton Honors, babe.
It matters where you stay. Hilton for the stay.
At last, my love has come along.
Wanna buy your way? Wanna pre-qualify at the park? Wanna get that car? ASAP! Yeah, you wanna do it your way.
Wanna drive? CarMax.
3, 2, 1. We got the right stuff. We put the hammer right down. Wanna be like us? You better stick around. If you want it, you gotta prove it. Like we do it. Like we do it.
The thing about long-term relationships is sometimes you need to spice things up. Look at that. Crispy chicken from Taco Bell, a brand new classic. You're welcome.
Run out where he got the blitz, and just really, you just felt the Furia attack crumble around it, really. And so I think, Faze needs to maintain that and carry that energy through to Chalet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it as well. We were talking about, the fact that Cyber went out on that round 9 and traded out for the Blitz for the Solus definitely made a lot of headway and alleviated a lot of that pressure that they were going to succumb had that Blitz been alive. And it's the performance that we needed to see from Cyber. That's where we said going into this match, we needed to see a player be able to step up, needed to be on that side of Cyber, but even the rest of the team, all within unison of one another, one number difference, a 7, 8, 9, 9, and then Cyber having 13. So everyone really ramping up for that performance. But again, I don't want to discredit Furia because this was a far better showing than what we saw in Bank. But a 7-5 on Skyscraper, their defenses definitely looked a little shakier compared to what we were seeing from Furia. I think Furia just honestly was making one too many mistakes. Where on the side of Faze, it really just came down to big engagements that they would win on their own right. So going into this Chalet, there's definitely going to be some curveballs that are going to be thrown towards them. But I think if they can just rely on that communication and that teamwork, and especially, like I said, Cyber being able to find those entries and just making that space be opened up, I think that's where we'll see we'll see Faze really thrive on those attacks and then just playing their defense. And I would say, if anything, just being able to tighten up more and not rely on some of those LF3Ks that we've been seeing time and time, or even an Ace.
Yeah, flex support, by the way, is something we brought up so many times about Cyber, him moving back to a more, passive role in this case, but still really putting up numbers for his team. When we look at the other side, a player who's had a great map, Felipox. almost invisible for this one here.
Yeah.
Not really showing up to anything, going even on the entry as well. Not necessarily, I guess, the player that we look to either on the side of Furia to really step up, because JV is still doing that. But then in the end, the map was close, closer than the first one was. And I'm really curious how that's going to translate into Chalet, because I feel like we've seen a few completely different maps that would allow for a completely different playstyle as well. Chalet could really lean into, I guess, some aggression, hopefully, from both these teams. What are your thoughts going into the next map, Ace? How are we expecting these two teams to take up Chalet?
I think it's got the potential to be a really close matchup. We don't see too much of Chalet from these teams. It's a very even story. It's kind of middle of the pack in terms of their preferences for both of them. We've both seen them win it in the last week. Faze, I think it was beat Liquid, and Furia beat W7M, if I've got that the right way around. I do. So they've had good performances on there. Honestly, I think I lean towards Furia, because I just feel like, I know they've just lost the Skyscraper, but I feel like they're playing overall better today than Faze are. But it's going to come down to those big names. I think it's going to be one of those games that we talk about. Who's got the star power? Who's going to come through and grab a hold of it? Is Filippox going to get himself back into it? JV, is he going to carry on? Cyber, can he have the big run out moments and the aces? Who is going to step up and win it for their team?
I was gonna say, I don't know. Ace, I was all with you going into this, and in that Skyscraper, I said if they get one more of these defensive rounds, these defensive rounds, they're gonna be more comfortable. On that attacking side, they're gonna be more comfortable, and sure enough, they clean it out. I do think, with having that confidence, having the momentum, Cyber finding his stride, everyone's starting to be more alive, the communication being there, I can see Faze closing this out on Chalet. Now, do I think it will be a 7-2 like the last time they played each other? No, definitely not. But I do think Faze definitely can carry that momentum into this matchup and being able to kind of control the pacing that we're typically used to seeing from Faze being able to do to Furia here on the Chalet.
It's good that we're seeing a whole different phase in map 1 that we are in map 2.
Absolutely.
You need to talk about the pacing, the mentality, I guess this mental bounce back that we're seeing from Faze as well. Yeah, they must have had a banana in between the maps. I assume that might be it. What brought them this map tie series here now? But yeah, I think the momentum can absolutely be huge. I also believe Faze had the last ban going into this one. I can see why they banned the other map to go to Chalet, because Furia have shown his weaknesses on this map before. That was against Liquid. That was the one time we thought, oh hey, Furia is going to actually, go through this group stage with only showing us 2 maps, only showing Bank, only showing Layer. And then in the final play, they had to play Chalet against Liquid, and they lost it. But we spoke to Furia after that as well, saying, this was some of the worst Siege we've played. We made a lot of mistakes, and they've shown this great improvement on that. They took a team like W7M down on Chalet. Yes, it was a close series, but they still took them down. I think that's going to be really important going into this one as well, Laxing, is that they have the success against a big team that they know on Chalet.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think the biggest thing for me with Faze being able to walk away with this win is just having that momentum. It's one hell of a thing to carry from one map to the next. And again, in terms of needing those SI points, Faze, they're in an okay spot. They aren't in the worst spot by any means, but they're at 250. So if they can just get this one and increase it, like you said, by another 150, put themselves at 400, they are in a very, very good spot. Then you have regional finals. So I have no doubt in my mind, getting over this hurdle, getting over that mental fortitude of, similar to kind of what it was back at SI 2 years ago, where they would then lose a game that they should win. I think it's the same scenario where Furia was finding themselves. If Faze could just be Furia here and find themselves in a grand final, that's where we could really start to see them even more on form than what we've been seeing currently, whether that's been the stage or the playoffs.
Yeah, it feels like this constant battle for Faze, doesn't it, really, to get back at Furia at every opportunity. You don't lose them any closer than they did in Sao Paulo. So any opportunity they've got to steal that 100, extra SI points, so everything that they can get back at them, they're going to try and take that chance. And it's part of the problem probably for Furia in playing Faze, is Faze have now got, for the rest of eternity, serious momentum to just and motivation to want to beat Furia.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not without a reason that we said at the beginning of this game that these two teams have played each other 8 times over the course of 2025, and it's 4-4 in regards of the split in who won those matches out. So yeah, we will bring our casters in because the map is almost ready. We should be getting our players in the lobby very soon. So we'll have time for a little bit of a chit chat with our casters before we send it away for the final series. Fluke and Emma, welcome back. This is your only series that you're doing today, so I hope that we're preserving some energy, maybe some potassium as well, Fluke, for this final map coming in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm stepping onto the desk next, Dan. Let's not entirely erase my analyst dreams.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I didn't have potassium. I just did eat a sprinkled donut, though. So I've got that.
Practically the same thing, really.
I was going to say, that's an insane combo. You had the fries, you had the meat, and now you just had a donut.
And I have a really big cup of coffee. I'm ready to go.
It's what they call girl dinner. I love that for you. Yeah. Amazing. It's going to give you plenty of energy, though, for this final one because it's just one map. Who can lock in the grand final spot? We'll send it back to you two for the final map.
Demo, I did you a favor there because I didn't want them to ask you about vegetables and fruits again.
Thank you.
I didn't. It's like a bully prevention system, right? I didn't want to open the doors. Because it would happen. They would ask, and then we would get a content pitch, which I would pitch because, it's there. A fitness day where Lax takes you to the gym.
I've been gymming quite frequently.
Yeah. If you didn't have a basis,
why do you think I have the sore knees?
That's true. Yeah. It's not old age. I know you have a basis there, but we've seen Lax's Insta. We know what he's about.
Mike said he hasn't been to the gym since like April or something, so maybe he's lost his touch.
Wow. Looks like we're going to have a running race. Another running race.
I'm faster. Okay. Just let us know, I am faster than Jesse J. Chick. Let me tell you that now. We had a race one time. I am faster than him, and he will tell you a different story. He is lying.
No word of a lie, chat and viewers, before we break down the stuff of this game. I'm just going to do the quick throwaway story. You would not believe how many running races have happened behind the scenes at shows and majors between the talent. We have done multiple running races across multiple different continents. We've also done jumping challenges as well. I don't know why those two things keep popping up, but they have done across multiple years. So, yeah, that's just a fun fact. Anyway, fun fact, Monty Ying, Azami, Solace band here. Is that a particular slight against Cyber?
No, I just think the operator's been buffed to a pretty good level. You think about Shally, and a lot of the time, you are dealing with situations where plants will go down and there will be opportunities to, maybe try and upset that with the information you can gather. You think about where retakes happen, being able to know where diffusers are being planted on a retake is valuable knowledge. And again, with that addition of the impacts that she got back, it just makes her so much more flexible in terms of the role that she can play, just like she used to way back whenever she really was the terror of the scene. So yeah, I think Furia just realizing this operator will probably be back in the frame as, right up there as, one of the top picked operators again.
Ooh, scrappy fights through the verticality in case he's just going to get himself out of there. He doesn't want to be the early give, especially as he still has all of his air jabs and gadgetry, right? And Cyber is on the hunt underneath, and he's actually maybe going to be able to slip past this first door. Still, the drone does pick it up, and KZ's going to peel himself further and further back, and, he's kept the air jabs really close to his chest. If his game was to get in here and cross the fight, he's going to have to win the first engagement, and it's about to happen down inside Trophy, and Cyber gets it. So now, those air jabs, that watch on the verticality and their control here is non-existent. There's a drive-through. Vidaking takes some damage. There's two! Line him up and knock him down. Herds gets the cross, and Nade has the big window. Out of nothing, Furia have been able to find a decent result and reward, and as KDS tries to creep his way back in for some control of the site itself, it's a Glass he's about to get in a fight with. Philippe Ox was an absolute demon with this operator last time round, but at this point they could just go for the plant. No, they can't, because they don't have the kit, And now they don't have that watch from the first engagement at this point. With 40 seconds, Cyber's trying to draw as much attention. They have a backline and, well, they're still just trying to drive their way across. They're going for the fights here, Demo. The kit is far away inside Trophy. They don't want to risk the 2 versus 1 engagement. So instead, they've propped themselves up, and there's a third for Herds. Now it's a 2 versus 1, but still now no kit. 20 seconds. Look how far away it is. They could maybe get it in time, but instead they'd rather go for the fight itself. Cyber, he doesn't know that we know this, or that they don't know that we know this. So instead he pulls his way around and goes for the engagement, but can't quite get the catch on it. Furia find the end of the round.
Yeah, well played there for Furia, realizing they have to go for the kill. You don't have time to jump out at the window and try and get that kit and then go up the stairs, because then you forfeit a lot of actual positioning. I think the way those 2 players played that 2v1, it was all about positioning. They never allowed Cyber a way back into the bomb site. I think that was the key thing. Cyber was just, he was locked out. You know, he was in limbo almost. He just didn't really know where he wanted to go. I mean, Herds, obviously, with that double kill, just completely opens up the bomb site for Furia, gives them complete control of Solar. You know, Faze, little things like that, allowing somebody to get themselves into Solar and find 2. That shouldn't be happening. That's obviously one of the key areas of this bomb site, is how well you can hold Solar. It has that staircase, has 2 double windows. Needs to be a lot sharper from Faze, and he tighten things up.
So Furia off to a start. I'm not going to say it's a strong start, because it did just turn on to throwing themselves at the engagement. They got that sort of stacked up double, find themselves the third, and then cross off the rest of the round. But from that engagement, from how that was back and forth, at points you did support Faze. I'm not going to say that they had the best structure. Obviously, if the kit had been still in the pockets of the 3 versus 2, Furia would have got the plant on the other side, and then you probably would have had the round written by the end of it there. A quick approach across, a quick play with the Flores drones, just getting some eyes immediately on towards the site itself. Get rid of the castle connection, cut off anyone that might be trying to rotate their way back round, and that's going to be the A game here. Now focus on towards this vertical position on towards Library to see if they can read a book entitled How to Kill Faze Players that are holding on to a library. There's already a first engagement potentially going to come out. Almost rotten timing on the grenade throw. He's still somehow slips his way across, and well, they forced him into a slightly different possession, but you can see that Cyber's underneath watching the verticality, so as soon as they enter, they're going to get at least some of the pressure back on towards them. They have some support, and there's almost been a bit of a trade out of utility that hasn't quite netted Furia's approach anything here. Trying to now find the vertical player. Cyber holding on and pressure. There's a swing, and it's almost Herds in a 1 versus 1 with a lot of other pressure around it.
Yeah, I like the position, though. You know, Herds, he's in an area that has to be addressed by Faze. They need to try and deal with him, and it's taken so much attention away from other things that they could be doing. JV being able to pick up a kill on the Cyber. I'm really surprised that somebody has not went on to the 51 window to get this cross onto the player in Fireplace. I'm really shocked at this. They're going to try and ace his wall away, and KDS, oh, goes aggro, has the swing, catches Herds, repositions in towards Library, hoping he can maybe try and hide himself behind the glass cabinet, but no, gets spotted out by Fleepox, will get the down. It's as good as a kill, more or less. King also down, as good as a kill. A 2v4. Andy and Souls all up to them.
Whoa, well, now with a little bit less to work with Faze, I said they had an opportunity to pull some momentum from the previous round, and this time, not quite the same. The position has been a steady close down here from the other side. Furia dedicated some utility and got the landing in the meantime, but with 40 seconds, just takes a second to score, just takes a second to cover the cross. The drone would have seen that drop, as well as a Blackbeard watching and listening, so if they can get themselves tucked behind, well, with not much health left, they might not be able to. There's the plant being confirmed. There's Souls looking for the verticality. They do get KZ down as well. There's a close fight that comes out. Handy somehow wins, and now it's just Nade alone. I said they were looking for an opportunity, and a man caught in a Pokeball is one of them.
They can't keep getting away with this. We have seen this far too often. For Faze should be dead and buried. Should nowhere near be in a position to win a round. You think of the circumstances there for Furia. A 2 versus 4. A Blackbeard still alive. No pressure in towards the bomb site. You have one guy playing, what, kitchen. That's it. That's the only thing that stopped them. You've got a guy above who you can harass, you can hinder, so he can't play the verts. You walk in, you can go for the plant. But then somehow Faze just hit these shots. Think about that kill that he got onto the player in the West Main window. Hip fires more or less the guy, he swings West Main. It is great for Faze to keep themselves in it. But now we're seeing a common theme that Furia they can't close these rounds out that they should be winning. How many nailed on rounds did we see on Skyscraper that Faze somehow pulled out? It's carrying over on the chalet.
I mean, perfect positioning as well. They went for the cover, not the planter too, and sort of put the pressure on the drop shot spray. It's nothing you can bank on, but ooh, what are they going to bank on here? Is it going to be a bit of a snappy smash on towards the site? Felipox once again on the operator that absolutely demonized the first map, and a Glaz that knows what they're doing. There's the tuck in, the plant right round the corner. Will there be some cover? KZ gets one, and the C4 doesn't get shot out, but doesn't get the connection anyway, and it's a post plant. They spray through. They're on the other side of the wall. They expected the coverage, but the Glaz here with smokes to just keep the long watch and buy themselves a little bit more time. Now, this is a very, very tough retake. 8 players still on the board. They're going to have to throw themselves out. As you can hear the air jabs popping off. That might be the start of the problem, but it's a reverse repel watch as Handy gets caught, but KDS gets the trade, and KZ gets one more for the road. There's the Glaz popping the cover, but they've been able to slip themselves a little bit close on the verticality for Leapox. Finds the end of the round, and the pace is building and building.
Yeah, just a classic rush, jumping in double window, smoking it out, plant with the shield. Yeah, we know that. Faze not reacting well enough. Well, I say that. I think Fury actually covered their bases really well because they brought in 2 shields. Blitz was designed to jump in and go for a plant. And then they used the Blackbeard upstairs to stop anyone playing off the hatch. You know, they can use that Blackbeard as an aggressive operator who obviously can take ground really, really well, but it provides that information to know if a guy's going to be in the hatch. You know, you feed that information through to everyone else in the team. And I think for a rush, the key thing is info. If you know that there's a gap, that's what makes or breaks the rushes. And using that Blackbeard to give that information to say that there's nobody on the hatch, nobody can really stop us going for this planet. And they go for it, and there's nothing to worry about. So yeah, I like the combination there, the double shields. Speaking of the shields, Blackbeards, yep, as a shock to no one, it's taken off the board.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they were sort of getting themselves into those positions, the way that they were sort of just locking down angles as well, and for how much it brought back and sort of bit back in round 2. Yes, it didn't quite net the result, but you think about what the struggle was in that early take. To that with the shield on the back. Was Blackbeard the decider? No, but then you get it to perfectly play into how Furia like to have their second covers. And with the double shield game that they've played once or twice, no more of that, please. Let's stop the double shields. I don't know what the lead into that respect line was.
Well, somebody isn't being shown respect, and I can only associate with that statement.
Ace, I'm going to assume, is the one that doesn't get shown respect. Because they're Ace. They're a social media influencer.
I feel you.
They are, in fact, I think No Limit is the living incarnation, because they're also a great social media Instagrammer, influencer, cosplayer. But their energy is very much like, hell yeah, and that's what I get from Ace. Shout out No Limit. Love you, Jay. 2-1. Furia starts to be a little bit of a pressure as they get themselves control underneath. And it's a very deep position for a grenade to get a kill on KD. Yes. Not entirely sure. Was that through the
stop you here?
Huh?
Did he just fire a capital bolt from the connector hatch in the basement to land on a player top fireplace?
Yes.
I've never seen that before. Is that possible? I mean, it has to be if he done it. Which that's crazy, by the way, if that's how they killed him.
I mean, it worked. And it's the practice of lining things up and knocking things down. Maybe we'll get a taste of that later, but for the meantime, Faze, they've gotten themselves the 2 kills back, and Nade can only think about the good moment that he had in the afterlife as he watches cams. Alongside as well the loss of the Bravo, so you hope that they've been able to steal what they want, and what they want is a C4 perfectly landed up. There is at least one back for the side of Herds onto Cyber, but now it is just Felipox left, because that gave the game away on their position just a bit. Enters underneath the site itself with nothing more than a kit, a grenade, and a flash, and the hope of trying to win this round and to keep themselves one step ahead. Talking about head, almost takes the head off of one of the defenders, but they can just peel themselves back. It's Handy that wants to try and swing in. They're watching multiple angles. As the grenade rolls out, it will force a bit of the momentum. Caught by a camera and the spray comes through. 30 seconds though. The time is going to be the ultimate waste here. There's the spray against it. They obviously can't move in towards the smoke for another 10 anyway. And just from that action, it's probably the round decided, but they're throwing everything in. There's another smoke canister that's been thrown, I think. Yeah, there it goes. And, well, we won't even see the end of it. Faze, tie us back up.
Oh, like a bit of a scattergun kind of round there from Furia, where they tried to hit like so many different ways of getting map control, and just none of it really stuck. Very different compared to the last time they were there, where obviously Furia, I think they kind of had, you know, their heart set on going in for the kind of solar way, playing in areas such as Big Window as well to cut off rotations. You know, they start at Library, then they are like, we don't really want to go Library. Let's try and go solar. We're seeing single players just swinging in by themselves through solar windows and getting blown up. It just felt just, I don't know. It felt very strange to see Furia take these risks without really any information. You know, they kind of moved about that map a bit blind, and they got punished for it.
At this point, tied up, and it feels like this is going to be a brawl potentially all the way to the end. Both teams seem good at wresting control of momentum. We're starting to see those fun little pocket plays.
5 seconds left before
So the angle of the Capitao, running the numbers, you think it was up through the hatch? It could have been up through the floor as well.
Well, he was down in towards the basement, so
down in towards the basement. Yeah, he was in the connector. I didn't put 2 and 2 until you pointed it, because I even made a comment. He's off on
I've
his
never
own.
seen it before. Yeah, I've never seen it before that actually you can do that. So yeah, you learn something new every day.
Take a little fraction of the soft out, and suddenly you can just a big old empty space. Well, at this point, oh, that's almost the space where the first kill goes again. A lot of pressure on towards KDS's position here, but now they popped Goyo onto the verticality, just buys themselves at least some security against the chance at a shield rush and that immediate pressure. There's a bit of a bleed and a read through now on towards the game's position as Viking and KDS both suffer a lot, and one of them is actually knocked down. The Deimos spraying through the soft wall. Viking gets himself back towards the site. He wanted to try and outweigh the Deimos track, so they weren't sure about it, but he couldn't quite get the safety. It just blows everywhere though. Out of nowhere, the map explodes, and suddenly there's only 2 defenders left. And Viking is on a sliver of health.
Yeah, this has not worked well for FaZe. They went for a roam on this basement, and look, if you're going for a roam, you really take it into your own hands that you have to go in there and get the kills. And look, they have been able to get some, but not enough. The Furia will sit with the man advantage. Now you look at what FaZe have left in terms of util. They've got 3 smokes, that is it. And a minute 30, so plenty of time for Furia to burn down the clock. And I think that the more scary thing, more than anything, you've got the Ossa, and they've got no way of stopping these shields going down. They've got no explosives to deal with that. So really for Furia, to get the wall open, just a pretty standard Ossa plant will be incoming.
At this point, Souls is going to have to lean out of Blue, see if he can try and get at least 1 kill, sort of shake the tree and see what sticks, because the double cover on the cross in this position is risky, but now I think he's read that everybody's pulled back. The smoke, wide swinging this door is going to be so expected, and it's going to be very tricky to get that smoke canister to land exactly where they want it to land to stop the plant being safe. Instead, uses one to buy himself the support from behind as King rotates round. There's obviously the chance at a hop-in bit of cover here. Running the numbers, running the flashes, and forcing the player back down. They're in on the back of it. Another flash, another bit of a control. You can see the pings are coming round, and King at this point, their days are numbered, but so's is the cover. As I said, they expected it. There's a great 3-2-1 there from Furia.
Yeah, so much time as well for Furia there. They just take it with ease. Didn't need to rush that. Like I said, their wing con was always going to be an also, but I suppose if they see an opportunities to get the pinches and get the kills, then they'll go for that too. But yeah, for FaZe, look, you're going basement. Tim detests that bomb site. He hates it. He thinks, don't go there. If you're going there, you're trolling. And I think if you do go to the basement, I mean, look, it's not horrific. I will counter this point. Obviously, Tim may or may not disagree. You've got both electrification operators available and also the tub. So I think there certainly is possibilities with that basement if the operator's available. If you're going for the roam, and we all know if you're going for a roam, you need to back it up with the kills. And just sadly, they couldn't do that. I think for FaZe, the roam game, they didn't really roam together would be my biggest criticism. We've seen players there out in the roam just get picked off one by one by crossfires that Fury had set up. So yeah, for FaZe, it's just that risk that they take, and it's backfired. And Furia, 3-2 up, looking good. I mean, 4-2 halves, that is the expected on the attack. So Furia, if they get this one, and they have met that, you know, I'd say par. There's another golf reference for Tim.
I'm sure he'll be living for that. He'll be sat there thinking, golf. Love that.
He snapped his fingers like Leo.
Yeah. Hey. Well, whether it's golfs or gardens, I don't think there'll be anyone spotted or put to bed here at this point. You can see that Furia is a bit cautious of FaZe stepping outside the boundaries of the map itself. Again, they're wanting to try and eagle-eye themselves on towards that even half. It's been FaZe's continual chase from today, and they've not really been able to get it that consistently. Once again, we're sort of getting that mix and that myriad of performances here from the side of FaZe. Cyber drifted away, King as well for the massive opening map that he had, but Handy's been able to step in and try and sort of slow down the roll here. On the other side of it, Felipox has found his first map form. And as the breach comes together, they don't really have anything other than that for now. The Clash is sort of drawing all this attention, saying, look, you want to breach, that's fine. But if you want to plant down there, I still have the vertical control. Now, as an air jab does get set up on the half wall, it'll at least box some of the round. You can see they're trying to find it, but I mean, playing Army Man and crawling your way around, you're not going to be able to get rid of it without revealing yourself and swinging wide. The smoke canister will sort of give the warning if we know you're out there, but a minute 20, all the players still standing. We're about to get a push turned to a shove, I think, here, Demo.
Yeah, I mean, Handy's done a great job at staying alive. He's the danger man. Furia can't push until he has been dealt with, and he is just proning his way to safety. I mean, they've been able to get in towards half wall, but look where Handy is. He's still just beside the desk trying to hold on to that single door. Here comes the Clash, who will give the information, of course. Handy, oh, Handy! What a pick. Takes down Herd, shotgun close. He's ready for JV, who has that DMR. All Handy has to do is go for the swing. He's in it almost. Oh, nobody home. KV instead has went over towards Mez, and he also dies, and Souls takes down Felipox. Furia, a round to forget. FaZe clan, stronghold, Handy especially. A man on a mission just to hold on to that office for dear life, and he done a great job at it.
Yeah, I mean, what a great sort of lock in there. And you could see that they just couldn't find a way in, right? They couldn't find that sort of weak link in the armor. They tried prodding and pulling at different positions, and there was just nothing. Nothing was giving. Nothing was given. And it was a very, very sturdy way for us to get ourselves into this position. Think about the comparison of how we opened the first map as well, by the way, and how Furia were always sort of in control and finding opportunities, and FaZe just looked a bit lifeless compared to there, where they were an unending wall. It was every single direction you turned. It was another problem for them to have to try and jump over. Even half. Now we're down from a best of 3 into a best of a half, as it always goes. And either team could wrest control of this game.
Oh, not a bad half. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, isn't it? It's, you know, balls went up. Who's going to jump and catch it almost? And really, it's there for both these teams. I kind of think back to, you know, Faze and what we kind of seen from their attacks on Bank. We do not want to see a repeat of that. Because it was very low energy. I think just single picks. Nobody really trading back. Just not really working as a team. I think for a map like Chalet, that is like the key thing. That you need to have that in abundance. See trade game and your crossfires in the Chalet? That is how you win or lose this. This can be a map where you can get so claustrophobic as a defenders. You know, you look towards that top floor. You look at the window layouts. You've got one in piano, one in bathroom, one in big window. You're kind of making that triangle of angles where there ain't a lot of kind of safe positions to sit in between that. You move 1 inch in a position, you could be dead because of that. And I think that's the main worry that you would have with Faze is whenever it comes to Chalet, your team game needs to be on point, and we didn't see that on Bank. But we've seen that in Skyscraper. I still think that, you know, Skyscraper, they reacted a lot better on their defensive half. Their attack still, you know, here or there, but I think Furia let the ball slip a lot more in their defenses rather than Faze doing oh so well. So, hey, I still think the pressure is on Faze. They're the team in the hot seat. They need to prove me wrong.
At this point as well, stepping in on their attack and bringing the chance at a quick zip. I'm wondering how they're going to approach this position, where Handy could approach from. Obviously, there's the chance of getting some nice hack synergy, getting yourself down and in and amongst that basement and up suddenly in towards the core, but this, cutting their way and cleaning across, it's a bold, bold move without anyone immediately trying to offer some support here, and you've not got Furia a million miles away. It'll make a lot of noise. They're going to go for the track. You've got a player on the double window. Fine. There's the pull. There's the push. And is this going to be the rub in the end? They're going immediately across, and Herds gets one, gets two.
Brilliant.
Brilliant hold. Brilliant Denari, and failure to launch for Faze.
Yeah, I mean, as much as what we've talked about Denari, it's not often that we really see the trips be used in a context of like a trap, you know, like somebody's there, like an Alamine or a foreign gadget, the way it would work. So it is nice to see still that, you know, they work like that, even though they are very obvious. If you do walk into one, you're thinking, why have you walked into one? It's a massive red line across your screen. But hey, in moments like that where you have to try and move fast, it's just that deterrent. JV able to take down the Deimos, and for Faze, the attempted rush, it has fell flat on its face. Furia, all they have to do is sit in their hands. But I will say this though, Furia, we've seen before, they tend to lose these kind of rounds, so let's hope it doesn't happen again.
I mean, that's entirely the worry, right? Regardless of how good these teams can be, it shows how good Faze can be at finding opportunities. It's in some ways a lot tougher on your attack, especially on a map like this where it is very aggressive, and Furia haven't shied away from that, but they haven't given the positions. They're still, I was going to say, sat around the side itself, but JV92 took a risk being on the half wall. Hertz just took a lot of damage. Not 100% sure the read through on that was, but now with some of the cross and with at least 2 points on an angle, if they can get the piano player here, who they're trying to force out, they've pulled themselves back towards the half wall. They just can't really go the immediate plant, and the rotate underneath, the spray up, they'll have to reveal, so instead they've got to push, and there's one KDS, it's suddenly a 2 versus 1. They've been able to find it, and Herds, you're a million miles away. He's got the sprint on, but at this point it's a post plant. I think right by the window they can watch this from some safety, but instead play the piano and see the song out the door. Herds does get himself a third for the round. Look at the health across the 2 remaining players. They're either side with the pre-fire souls. You said Furia have lost it before. Well, why not once more?
It's Groundhog Day, everyone. I don't even know when that day is. Not my holiday. Obviously, it's Furia's holiday. They're living in it. It's the same thing again. A 2v4, all they have to do is sit in their hands. Play the trades.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
It's so frustrating. It really is. There's a very Northern Irish phrase here. Can I use that? Is that okay?
Go on. Throw it out.
It gets up my goat.
That is a particular phrase. You're right. Bill. Here, where we are now. Well, where we've been up towards this opportunity phase.
10 seconds left before
They've pulled themselves back in towards this entire showdown. More than anything, they've made sure
attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
that they are never too far away from this engagement, and I mean, credit to them. After the first map, we sort of had those questions, right? Of, is this going to be the phase for the whole showdown, or is it just, this is a map they've already decided they've lost? They have refused to let some of these rounds be lost. And here, the continuing pressure. There's the run in. Cyber let loose into the building, hoping to try and get an early snag on a player, but nobody's currently home, and instead they almost catch him instead. He has some of the reveal. What it has got them is a lot of territory quite quickly, terrain that they're worried might be pressured back on. Obviously, he's quite isolated for now. He's just going to make sure that he's an anvil in some way and drift his way back to something maybe a little bit safer. The blinds roll out. The Clash tries to draw attention, but as all of that gets removed, the utility from the swing on towards the Ego Balk. Instead, Cyber pushes their way up towards the top of the stairs. KDS with pressure on the piano windows, and well, they had this hold, if you remember last time demo, that Furia couldn't find a way through. Can Faze get one on their own?
Well, Faze haven't lost anyone. Are taking a much more slow and steady approach. We'll have to, again, go for that kind of mini side quest I like to mention with the Clash Souls. And that's a strange one, actually. I think I had the call to remove the electrification, so he went for the nade from below, but he didn't expect Philippok to be standing right above him and picks up a very easy kill. Now 4v5, but FaZe have to try and problem solve, and again, it's just that oppressive clash that I just don't see them getting through. Look what they have. Zilch, no util at all to really deal with that, so this is going to be a tough one for FaZe.
There's the spray, there's the blind, and there's the pressure trying to just bleed their way around the corners. They've missed the man, and Philippok has... Oh, he missed his! Cyber wins it out. It was almost dropped. I mean, they would have got the trade, whatever happens, but now instead, they have an even fight and an even man count on the way, and the watch back down. But do they have the control, the confidence? Nobody's going to try and come in from behind them. You can see Cyber's a bit worried where the Clash, or actually the support around the Clash has gone. And as they set themselves up, there's not a huge amount of time to get this stuck. Herds,
no util.
He's the one that they were worried about here. And as you said, no util, but they do at least still have the trade game. Andy is inside the site. There's only a single player above as well. KDS wins out against KZ, and there's JV92 getting it locked in. Cyber, he's done well this round so far, but he goes no further.
No util, that actual site execute. I mean, they used everything for the top floor, which, sure, I mean, that's fine. You know it's a position you have to take. They put in so much util. And what did they really get as well? One kill? One kill they got from that whole util dump. And that's only because that guy decided to stay. And he knew he was going to be a dead man anyways. You want to see how many he could have got, you know, to come with him. But I think Furia were very, very clever in just pulling back immediately. You know, let them have the top floor. Look at the time. Look at what they've used. We still got the full HP Clash. That's going to be the win con. They played to the win con. It just annoys me. They can win rounds like that in the 4v4, but they can't win rounds in the 2v4. Make it make sense.
I can't. Sorry. That's not in my wheelhouse. 4-4 though. Then at this point, this game going the distance, could it be in anybody else's? I mean, we kind of expected a bit of a brawl. I think if you'd have asked us, okay, pre-map 1, hell yeah. 3 maps, give us a series, give us a show. Post-map 1, What's going on here? What's all this, officer? Close map 2. All right. There's some life in, but there's still been clutch rounds, right? There's still been those Faze rounds, as you just said there, actually. If you take away the rounds where Faze won those 2 versus 4s and Furia sort of dropped the ball, this one could have been put to bed. And we said it at the very beginning in Bank. When you're up against the best teams in the world, what they can do so much better than others is exploit opportunity. And even though in the first map that was entirely done to the sort of problem of Faze, since then it's not that they're not able to find it amongst sort of Furia's errors and woes and mistakes and clutch rounds, and it leaves us exactly where we are now. As Solace, well, they know that they're being hunted, and as the call comes out, they're just going to maybe cause a problem a bit longer. They're not entirely sure where the Solace has gone. As I said before, that's the game that the Solace wants to play. They will hear this rotate. Handy doesn't have another call yet, but also doesn't have any support. They don't just want to run their way in. They're sat waiting. E1D. Such delicate balances of motion here. And Herds isn't... They weren't born yesterday, Demo. They're not going to swing that.
No. I think that you kind of get an inkling sometimes, I feel, as a kind of roamer. Especially if you know that there's not a lot going on towards the site. They're probably looking for you right now. And oh, how on earth are you not dead? Heard you get stuck in the door frame. Handy. Must have had one heck of a whiff to not pick up that kill. And Herds, let's actually go for the double dip. He wants to be aggro. He wants to challenge on. Is he going to get caught out, though? The E1D scan does go off. Easy. Holding on the blue stairs. Wins it against Handy. 4v5. The Faze have to work around. They were really hoping that Handy would pick up a kill downstairs, but it's not end up that way. They have got the top floor control, but they've got no pressure at all bearing onto the bomb site.
Heavy hammer hits either way, and as you said, no control of the bomb site, but they're just going to try and make it work at this point. And Nade is that problem player, right? On the back line of stock. The grenade will force him to slip his way further around, but look at KZ's momentum. He's got himself tucked up blue. He's ready and waiting, and the crossfire comes out into Cyber's favor, but they're still holding on to at least some power positions. Faze, they don't have a direct route through on towards the site, and that's the problem, because at this point, they're out of time. They're almost out of souls as well, as caught in the smoke and taking too big of a huff. They slip their way around. JV gets KDS, and now they can just kind of mop it up. There's a wide swing that is punished to 2 versus 3. Cyber and Souls have to try and find the end of it, but they're still hopping in and rotating their way around. At this point, Furia can just pull themselves back. What was that? A mistake in the chaos. Here's teammate with a 1-tap.
I will say it was a great shot, just onto the wrong person that you'd want to kill. Yeah, but that's what's going to happen whenever you're stressed and out of time. Stuff like that is going to happen. This is why we talk so much about straining that clock as a defense. The lower that timer gets closer to 0, you will see the correlation with the panic levels of attackers begin to rise. If I had a graph, you'd see that. I don't have the graph, but just pretend you see the graph. That's what happens. Mistakes will be made. And because of that, look, the timeout, because they probably are stressed out right now. They have to be.
Well, at this point, taking a breath, Faze, and, you know, it's sort of been traded rounds up until that point. Then we get into this half, and now Furia have been able to stack themselves 2 sort of blocks in a row. Is it Faze running out of steam? Is it Faze running out of possibilities? We had it in the previous map, though. Sort of remember that as we got towards what was, I think, the same position, there was a timeout that came through from the side of Faze, and then they tucked 3 defensive rounds in a row on Skyscraper. They have the ability to sort of bounce back from this moment, these slip-aways. But now, all ahead of them, all with a chance at progressing along this lower bracket, and a chance at this eternal fight betwixt these two, having at least one more score etched in Oh, the upper bracket, sorry, not the lower bracket. That's the next game. It's also the fact that obviously this is a mirror towards the last split in stage 1, where you had FaZe, Clan, and Furia in the upper bracket. It was a 2-0 in towards 2-0 in towards FaZe's favor, and then in the final, because they met in the grand final again, FaZe lost 0-2.
Yeah,
so
I mean, in a possibility that could happen again. Like, don't get me wrong. As much as what I think NIP have looked, I've been so impressed with NIP. I'm sad we don't get to actually, cover them today, because I think that team, with what they've been able to do, I think Tim mentioned it at the start of the day. What they've been able to do this stage is also it needs to be noticed. So yeah, very impressed with them, and you never know, we might see NIP actually win the stage, which they have not done in who knows how long that has been. But hey, still plenty more stage before we get to that stage. But yeah, FaZe took the time out. Need to dig deep here and find any semblance of structure, because I don't think they've really had that. It has been very panicky. The one attack they have won is down to Furia playing like schmucks. So they need to try and do a lot better on this shallow. But this was the worry I would have. It's the coordination, but that's more like it. Why have we not seen that yet from FaZe? The shield comes in, somebody follows up. That's the teamwork that we need to see.
Straight, immediate, and violent. There is 2 more pickups here for the side of FaZe. They took their time out, and once again, boy, did they know what to do with it. Furia, 2 players left here on a bit of a lone watch, and let's see if FaZe can do Furia and drop the ball a little and let Furia bite back into this. They have so much time, though, Demo. They have a lot of utility still in their banks, and at this point, fine, you're tracking 1 player. You can see them going off towards the back end, and they're actually going to try and take the 2 versus 1. And I think Cyber sort of realized this and said, no, I'm not going to give you that opportunity. But it allows this. The rest of the team has otherwise moved in. They took a risk. Once again, it didn't pay off. Cyber didn't overextend. To be honest, they've done once or twice, but at this point, Handy, the blitz, closing a distance, doesn't get punched around a corner. Lucky got the blind off. There's at least 1 back into the favor. The blitz has to full send it. Can't get the end of nade, and it still sprays over a narrow margin. Cyber does go down, but they're able to at least cement the 1 kill. There's the shield. Oh, doesn't get the connection with the shotgun. Vidiking, he's like, you guys do this. I'm going to go plant, guys. I'm going to keep us with this round safe. And Herds battling against his demons. Now, though, post-plant, time to breathe. He's almost pulled the rest of FaZe back. And Vidiking cements the round. FaZe, they're able to at least push that 1 over the end.
Yeah, that was a lot better from FaZe. Actual teamwork, having a kind of spearhead, being that blitz, playing off that blitz, having kind of crossfires and angles set up to cover people as they try and rotate around the map. You've seen that at the main lobby and towards the big door. That's what you're after. And that was something that FaZe have just been missing from their game. And Furia, they've almost reaction snapped a timeout, haven't they? Like, I wouldn't say Furia have looked rattled at all. Well, maybe apart from, the 2v4. Other than that, things seem pretty, smooth for them. But they've went for the timeout nonetheless. Is it just the case of they want to immediately adapt to how FaZe now have adapted to them?
Well, 2 timeouts and 2 rounds separate us from OT or the end of the series at this point. Who can be that distance maker, that difference maker, and who can set themselves up for what is still not a do or die game? There's always still that possibility. Yes, it guarantees you a little bit more money in SI points, but you know that it's not impossible for these 2 teams to find and fight each other once again. And it's also the sort of split of how things came to pass, because, with the end of stage 2, with how these teams sort of played out, Furia, they were the sort of second place team. They ended on the same amount of points as the first place team, and they had technically more wins, but a couple of OT. FaZe, I like how he can be like, they were uncharacteristically adrift. They were in 4th place. It was a difference of 3 points. The top of the leaderboard for SAL was absolutely stacked this year. Well, a split even, and well, as Hertz tried to get a bit lucky, He instead found a friend who had a shield.
Loading new magazine.
Yeah, well, it's the shield-on-shield action too. Got the Monty versus the Clash, and spoiler alert, Clash wins that. So, yeah, Viking needs to be very careful in terms of who he's challenging. If it is the Clash, he needs to get out of there. For Furia, it seems as though they're trying to step into more of an aggressive, standpoint here. I mean, very aggro there from Casey over towards Library. I mean, hasn't got the kill. He did take a lot of damage, but still alive, and very quickly moves back in towards that top floor into Piano along with his teammate. And again, it's just going to be that problem solving of the Clash again for me. I think that's going to be the issue that FaZe need to try and get around. And you look at the lineup, there's really nothing that they've brought in to deal with that. So yeah, the Clash should have a massive impact here. FaZe are actually going for the hunt here onto the roamer downstairs. But is he aware that there's actually two players? No, he's not. JV! Perfectly timed to assist his teammate. Takes down the Deimos. A massive opening pick.
Well, Cyber gone as well, and we've seen the importance that he's had in the rounds where he's been able to activate himself as the Deimos especially, and here now forced and brushed slightly further back. The Clash is just leading this intel, and as Hertz gets handy. Oh no, things have started to fall apart a little bit on this round. They drive themselves across. They've made a bit of a gap, and they're hoping to try and get a kill before things opt out. But look at the, Furia's just pulled back. They're like, no, we don't need the smoke. You can have that verticality, that's fine. We still have the site control, and also we now still have the rest of the map. We outnumber you. We can rotate our way around behind you in towards Fireplace, in towards these other pressure positions as they have done. So now there is still no safe ground. All they've sort of done is found a new place to be isolated, and it's good reaction here from Furia. If they win out this engagement, which it's not being offered to them yet, they might be able to at least get some safety, but Herds swings up and probably puts this round to bed. Soul's left alone, and we might be about to find a flawless. Nope, not quite. But slipping their way into the smoke. Does get a second and recollects the kit. The Clash just reading all this info, and there's nowhere really to go from this point onwards. It's frustrating, I think, to say the least. 18 seconds. Gets himself a third. Oh my, if he pulls this one off, goes to fight the Clash is on stairs. It's awkward, but Herds gets the end of it. There was a moment, Demo.
Yeah, but for Furia, get the round win. And yeah, I think they've done a much better job of going aggro, not giving the kind of initial, I want to say fast pace aggression that FaZe had brought in the previous round. And then, you see the Clash. Again, it's that operator that has caused him so many issues. The Monty was terrified from the majority of that round. He didn't really know where he wanted to push. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? The Clash is there. What can I do? It's tough. It's very, very tough on him. Furia, with the defense, they go top floor into our bedroom. It's all over the Faze's court. They're the team who have to attack this. I mean, Furia, with that defense, they're going to be feeling confident. This is a tough one. Always said 6-5. It's a dangerous scoreline. FaZe know they have to play perfect. One mistake, Furia punish, Furia win. They win the map, they win the series.
One round from where we were to where we are, FaZe. They've definitely turned this one into a fight. A nice little Denari painting. It's like a graph. It shows the performance of teams, depending on which way you look at it. That was a Jessie J Chick joke for you, and I realized you're not that target audience.
I don't appreciate the Jessie J Chick.
I'm so sorry. I forgot.
Don't ever mention his name in front of me again.
Let me just get rid of all my scattergraph humor and my my line charts gone. Those jokes gone. Sorry, buddy.
You should know better.
I should.
I'll allow it this time. But that's it. That's the only time.
Ready for that, then? I mean, look, this engagement could be the decider. There's a lot that's going in towards Philippox's way here. KZ isn't a million miles away on the support, but you've got KDS that wants to hop in towards Mud, and, he's got 2 rooms to survive and play in. There's the controller Mud, so now the blue player is in a bit of a stickier situation. There's a shield that's hopped in. They need to get this clean, but KZ is that cover, that problem. At this point, oh, he turns his back at the worst possible time. That's 2 quick kills for Faze. They can't even get the man out for Leapox. And I mean, the support structure tried to get there in time, but they just approached it a little bit wrong.
Oh dear. Furia. Looks as though that they've choked this and they're headed into OT against Faze, who have and brought that same aggression in. It was round number 10, wasn't it? Oh my. Oh my. Hurts. Massive opportunity. I don't know if it would have mattered too much because he probably would have been traded, but still you miss out on a kill. And now Nade has a 1v5. He has to clutch up. And you just don't see this happening at all. Here comes the blitz. Here comes Handy. But KDS beats him to it. Faze still alive. Overtime.
Well, here we are. Who expected anything else from these two teams, to be honest? I guess you kind of maybe wanted it for all three, but we'll take this split. At this point, onwards and upwards here for Faze. They've been able to pull themselves in. It's been a while since we've had this kind of showdown. And the last time these two teams were in an OT, it went to a Furia sort of solid 2. But here, with how back and forth this game has been, it's really anyone's guess. You've had on this map, obviously, 2 even halves, 2 great responses to each other. Faze back on their defense once again, and you sort of think back to how Furia pulled out rounds. 2 of them were on the back of some shield works. They doubled down with 2 shields in 1 round. They brought the Ossa for another sort of success on the approach and plant, and they just seem to get a good handle on some of the loose Faze players. But yeah, I mean, there's nobody that's not showing up as well. You sort of look across both these two teams. Fine, KZ has a sad habit of dying, but he's making sure he's at least getting into the engagements.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Souls as well, by the way, 14 and 7. I mean, I always said Souls, he's stupidly consistent for the role that he plays as well. I mean, I wouldn't say that Faze have like a kind of traditional support, where I don't really think any of Brazil have a kind of traditional support as what we would have inside of E or NA, certainly. But I think Souls is probably the closest thing of a support player that Faze have had. And he's such a gunner as well. Like, I've always said, see gunner or support players who can hold their own in gunfights. They are a threat to be reckoned with, and he's one of them. And I think that's why you see the numbers that he drops in his role. It's just ridiculous to see. So yeah, Faze really hanging in there, and Furia pressure back onto their shoulders as they have let this lead slip. They're going to try and hit it hard and try and regain that lead. Look how swiftly they're moving in towards Library to assault onto Fireplace.
Ooh, sprayed through Cyber. He's able to find the first kill there on towards Felipox, and they're almost waiting for the next swing to come into their position. But as Souls finds JV, this attack round might have fallen a bit to bits here for the side of Furia. Oh, they know exactly where he is. They're sort of playing a narrow game here, but KDS doesn't have to play his life. He's got support, and there's no way they can bite through. And you look at Cyber's position as well. Great pinch on towards that position, and there's the next, but it's Handy's to win out. Took in a sort of solo engagement amongst the fire, almost a little bit of an operation at slightly different paces. And it gives Handy the chance to do this. Now, he could drop the hatch if he wants to. Pull himself away. They're worried about a swing coming around, or they're worried that Handy might still be here. There's a spray. Now the hatch isn't quite as tasty an option. The grenade won't quite get him, but the swing does. A minute on. And Nade can offer some support. And with the clash peeling back, the 3 versus 2. All revealed on a cam, and now all revealed on Vidiking. Cyber's hoping somebody goes for the control on the window, the cross, but they're keeping things internal for now. The problem is that wall sort of locked up. Okay, and Herd's just drifting in. False read maybe on what he thought they had, and that's probably put the end into this round.
Yep, Viking gets ghosted, but should be an easy kill. No problem there for Cyber. That's how you hold a 4v2. See that? No problems. Just play your util, sit in your hands, play off each other. That's what they did. And FaZe gifted with that round. So the initial aggression there from Furia not working out. FaZe clan held their own. Part of the pun, weren't really phased by it at all. You know, FaZe just kind of sat, played their own util, played their trade game well. Just FaZe doing the basic principles of Chalet. An extremely high standard. And now we sit 7-6. Furia on the defense. FaZe, that's 2 on the bounce. So they've got a little bit of momentum here. Will they make it free and win the series?
I mean, from where we were to where we are, right? How far we've found ourselves on this journey with FaZe. You know how the fans have been through it before. So we can't really cement anything yet, Demo. But I think that first engagement, that first sort of trade of blows. Do you know what? It's crazy how isolated first engagements have been in this showdown. Across every single round played, by how we track it within the pace of the trade, only 3 rounds total have had that entry kill traded. And over the past 7 rounds, the entry kill has dictated the way that it goes. Just truly been such a strong sort of opening and entry for a lot of these teams, finding that loose player, that isolated problem. Now there's no immediate risks. There's a very quick approach here with the Ram. Cyber isn't afraid of finding themselves within the building within the opening 20 seconds, and sometimes slowing them down just a tad is a big part of FaZe's approach. And see Furia, they're just making sure that nobody's immediately entering here onto the back, hoping to get, as I said, that early strike, that lucky first blow. They're almost trying to be a step ahead of the approach, right? With the Solace deep out in towards games, fishing for information on towards library, but FaZe, they're not immediately throwing themselves in as of yet. They get themselves the stretch and the rotate, and Furia, they keep themselves moving back. A minute gone. Nobody's found anybody yet, but everybody is sniffing in the wind.
And it is really ballsy here from Furia to go for the basement, to keep themselves in this series. And the fact that they've went here and not brought in, you know, the electrification, the tub, for example, just makes things really simple for FaZe. Open up the walls, get the vertical work done. I mean, this is just setting up to be a very clean, precise round here from FaZe. They're doing the basics right. As soon as these walls get opened up, you'll see that this bomb site is just not favorable for defenders. There's nowhere really safe to sit. I mean, Furia tried this extension over towards Big Garage and over towards Trench, but FaZe aren't really interested. I mean, you can see where the diffuser is. We're more concerned about Blue and just the traditional snowmobile breach. And he takes a handful of damage against that shotgun playing up close and personal, and just kind of distances himself with those Candelas and Handy. Want them to play passive, just asking FaZe, you know what? We're not really interested in taking Blue, Furia. You can sit there. We're more focused on trying to get ourselves in and go for this plant, but that clash, that could be the issue.
I mean, 45 seconds, all 10 players still standing, and Furia holding on for now. Still with a smoke canister, still with a clash, as you said, and a couple of impacts. But at this point, you're sort of looking at FaZe and looking at the clock and going, okay, this is going to have to be a hell of a 3-2-1. They're prepared for the hatch drop and the pressure that might come from this angle. They have some of the sort of flash grenades to maybe get some control on the Candela. But otherwise, outside of that, what are they rolling with? The deep flash will go through. It's caught by an ADS. There's the roll and the pressure. A smoke canister buys them a second on towards Blue, and they're in. But they're a little bit suspect, a little bit opportunistic there. KZ gets the first on towards Handy. The swing from Philippox and Herds gets themselves 2 more. There's at least another from the trash. And we, Demo, are screaming all the way.
Oh, what a pause from Philippox. Was somehow under the havoc of what was going over towards Blue and upstairs. He somehow slips his way across the verts and just sits beside the green bins. And nobody was none the wiser. Said before about Furia, if you make one mistake against them, they will punish you. One mistake, a misthrow. That's what it boils down to for FaZe. Everything else was set up They were ready for that execute. They had burned through the smokes. There was no real denial left for Furia.
Attackers need to
But they didn't check that one position. They couldn't push their way down in through the main stairs onto the filing cabinet, which is a blind spot plant. And because of that, they lose that round, and we go to round 15. We flip Furia on the attack, Faze in the defense. I mean, it's been even halves. You know, I think for Furia and for Faze, no side really favors them. They're both going at it. Where does this go? Really, where do we go from here? I mean, we go kitchen and dining. Last time we were here for Faze, they done a fantastic job at actually holding in towards that office. We've got the Clash, who has been, honestly, for both teams, the Clash has been a nightmare to deal with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, we sort of talked about problematic shields on the attack, but also, as you said, on defense, it just keeps being that difference maker. It keeps being that ability to be active, to be reactive. And both these teams, as we've complimented them on so many times, and everybody has, they are reactive, right? They'll see what the problem is. They'll try and find a solution for it. Sometimes it gets caught out, but I mean, it's forced. You have to sort of play air jabs. It's forced you to have to try and play this lockdown here. There's the chance with the Capital bolts, maybe even a pocket impact DMP if they really want to cross that divide. But Clash we've talked about teams who suffer with Clash and teams who bring Clash and just don't really know how to operate with her. These two teams both play her quite passively in a way for the engagements. They're not just deploying the shields, trying to hold onto a position. They're going forward and reading, but then they're pulling back. They're leading them in towards problems. And, you know, it either forces them to take the bait and have to take an unfortunate engagement, or forces them to have to stop, rethink, recalculate, and rerun the numbers. Here, a minute 50, 7-7. Everything boils down to what is just a best of one of a single round. And they're going to see if they can try and get that first catch. Again, the positions of Furia, they're stacked up. Going to get some of the work done, but as the first to fall is handy. You worry if you just got a little bit too adrift. Herds has obviously taken some damage. They got a bite out of him, and they still have the Clash to draw some attention. Cyber was looking for an engagement, hoping to get a lucky catch, but as the pressure forces the Clash further and further back, there's nobody to immediately get the catch onto it, and they're going to actually push in, retake. I think they're sort of pulling the defense away and pushing them back in. There's almost the swing round. The Clash goes up to the breach, reads the position. Not entirely sure what the rotate there was, but it's leveled itself out. Cyber popped out, in fact, that was it. Got the first kill and got himself caught out. Now a 3 versus 3. They're able to remove some of these air jams, which buys the Clash a little bit more space to play in. The Deimos track on at least the Deimos outside to get a bit of a reveal, but 40 seconds. Think about where the 3 Furia players are. They're almost in a circle, and there's another player clearing another air jab, and there's JV92. Gets the vertical somehow. The Clash steps in. There's about to be a swing over the shoulder. They're going for the plant. There's the reveal and the spray round, but it's a step. It's a crossfight, and it's scrappy. A post plant and a Clash. Too late to the party. Too late to the game. Furia, after all that, win it out. But Faze found a fight that lasted all the way to the end.
Oh, what a map. What a last round. JV in the trenches. And the fact he was